What's up, race fans, and welcome to the Monday Night Rewind, presented by Federated Auto Parts and ELH Detailing, live on Top Row Racing Media, your weekly interview show for the people, for everybody in Michiana Motorsports. Tonight, another great guest lineup, right off a great performance at the Kalamazoo Klash at 7:05. We have the 87 of Chloe Mazzagatti joining us on the Monday Night Rewind. Following her will be recently crowned New Paris Speedway Street Stock champion Hailey Boal at 7:40 p.m. and at 8:05 p.m. or 8:10 p.m. Excuse me. It'll be Kyle Trinklein, and I'm going to be learning a lot about Kyle Trinklein tonight. So, yeah, excited for our lineup. Another stacked one once again. I'm joined, as always, by Lewis Noakes. How are we doing tonight, Lewis?
Catching up on a lot, but we're pushing through. So it's a Monday. It's time to rewind, right? So it was a long weekend, 4 out of the 5 days at a racetrack doing something. So Sabrina Beebe, too, I want to give a big shout out to Sabrina. She's a hard worker. She's really dedicated. At Kalamazoo, she has to manage a lot at one time. You know, she's kind of turned into the photographer. Kalamazoo doesn't have an official track photographer, but there are many nights if it weren't for her, there'd be no photos. So, she does the photos, but what she was originally there for is to help with onboards. That's what she originally came to Kalamazoo this year to help with. And so she's taken that on and is being a rock star with that. Doesn't miss a whole lot. And then she's, of course, the photographer at Galesburg. So I know they had their championship on Saturday. And then she was back she was at Corrigan with me on Friday. And then she was back at the mini wedges for Kalamazoo on Sunday. So she too had a 4 out of 5 days. And so I know she has a lot going on. So that's where she's getting ready to move. So that's where I definitely thank her. And we'll be back at it again on Friday. We got season championship at Kalamazoo. Couple are still up for grabs. And then they'll have night destruction at Galesburg. New Paris will have the Sizzler. And then we'll both be back at Corrigan on Sunday. So for the harvest. So it just keeps on grinding, right?
Yeah. It's that time of the year. It is very much crunch time in racing season now. It's all big shows, all the stuff's wrapping up, and this is where it all comes together. So yeah, it kind of piles up here at the end of the season for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, but how was your weekend though? Like, how are you doing?
It was pretty good. I had a blast at M40 this weekend. It was your Top Row Racing Media driver Evan Verdine run up to the M40 Speedway for the first time. So I rode up there with him and his street stock team there, and we had a blast. I mean, it's a tricky little track up there at M40, so it took him the whole day kind of get it figured out, but you could tell at the end of the feature he started reeling some cars back in, and he had fun. So that's what counts. First time on American Racers and first time at M40, so it was definitely a challenge for my driver. But like I said, it was a fun day. M40 had 7 classes, 99 cars. They were honest about 99, and it was done by 10 p.m. I think that's unbelievably impressive.
No plus 20.
No plus 20s.
Well, but it's also on my race pass, which is transparency reporting.
True. You're right there.
So you can't really lie if you're on my race pass. So
but yeah, like I said, 7 classes, 99 cars, and I think the last checkered flag flew at 9:59 p.m. exactly. So shout out to M40 on that.
Yeah, again, 99 cars, and isn't that their second highest this year? Because I think they eclipsed 100.
Yeah, they did get over 100 one time this year. I assume this is the second most then, yes.
I'm just trying to figure out, as you talk about them, like, so where did they park them?
Because they use that strip because the vintage modifieds are there.
Yeah.
And they use that strip going towards the concession stand for the traveling series usually.
Okay,
It didn't really feel like it was extra packed in there or anything. I mean, it was pretty comfortable.
Yeah, because I've always, what was it? A few weeks ago when someone said 100, I think Johnny made one of his videos where he talked about, hey, we're just trying to figure out where we're parking them, and let us know if you're not there because we're definitely getting you guys in. So again, how incredible though. I mean, just think about M40, and I know Chloe's getting set up in the staging area, so that's why I haven't brought her on yet, because her camera was sideways at first, so we got Chloe was kind of like sideways. She's still sideways, and it's not there. She's good now.
Okay.
But I'm like,
live directed.
We'll kind of be like this. Like, don't mind us, Chloe. We just got a little neck kink. We're just, but I know, I believe she's done M40. And so we'll talk with her about that. I know, with M40, right, it's always, not that long ago that it was on its door, deathbed, right? I mean, literally
healthy as ever right now. So
they just to think of what the Russells have done with that, right? And sometimes it's the grain, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they've gone the grain
And
of what everyone else is doing, but they're succeeding with it.
And that's what I was kind of thinking there Saturday is like, you can say what you want about the path that they've taken to do what they're doing, but it really does feel like it's a pretty family atmosphere when you're there. It kind of feels like everybody's getting along. Well, I mean, obviously you have your moments. There's
Right.
always moments, but it does feel like there's a little bit different feeling at M40 than at other places to me personally. And I'm not, that's not a shot at anybody else, but they have something very unique and special to them going on up there and it's working. So,
well, and that's where you just go, again, I know it's against the grain sometimes, but it's like, just keep doing what you're doing because you must be doing something right. You're selling tickets, you're packing in cars, like it may not be the way this track does it or this track is doing it, but if you have metrics that shows that what you're doing, I mean, finances are always finances, and we obviously don't have those kind of metrics, and that's not our
not
purview.
our business.
But there's a lot of tracks in that same boat where finances may suggest a different metric, but if you can look at your stands and see fans, and you can see that they look happy-ish, like they may not love everything, but if you kind of got those things going in your direction, I mean, you must be doing something. So I know I'm excited. We had a nice crowd. Obviously it wasn't full, but we had a nice crowd at New Paris on Saturday for the season championship night. Ray Roberts brought in like kinfolk from literally all over the country. They drove up from Kentucky, other places. So
they were coming out of the hills for Ray on Saturday.
So that was exciting. At the Kalamazoo Klash, it was absolutely packed. It looked like a night of destruction crowd. I think there's close to 4,000 people there. I was told that that's not the number that was there, but I'm like, I don't know. It looked really full to me. So
sounds good to me. Motor math, back to that plus 20.
Well, this sounds like subtraction to me, but it's 4,000. 3 to 4,000 was there. It was packed. Chloe, once again, I think had the loudest ovation out of everybody. And so we'll talk a little bit about that because that has to feel good too when you go around the country, racing, doing different things to have just your name said and all of a sudden you got a whole crowd roaring behind you because that has to get the blood flowing. So, so big crowd, and obviously Summer Sizzler, she will be there. If I recall, she's on the list for Reveal the Hammer. We can confirm with her. So I'm excited to see what that crowd looks like because we're at 23 Outlaws right now for that. Plus we have the limited late models going. I think for 2,000 to win, that number may change. The sponsor was getting in on that. And then we'll have the modifieds race 2 of 3. So if you're ready, we can bring on Chloe and talk all about it from not only Clash to Sizzler and everything before and after.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's bring on, again, awesome run at Kalamazoo. Thanks to Fastlane Images, Chelsea Landis, for providing the image. We have Chloe Mazzagatti. So, Chloe, welcome to the Monday Night Rewind. It's your debut on our platform, so I definitely appreciate you joining us tonight, especially after a long weekend. I know you were at Owasso late.
Oh, yeah. That was a long night.
So, and again, and a long night for you too at Kalamazoo, maybe not so much because of rain, but I know you guys were still there well after I left and you were still there out in the parking lot area and everything. So traveling all over to race and all that. So I appreciate you coming on tonight to join us. And so we call this a shoot first, aim second show. It's kind of like sitting in a pit area, just, shooting the breeze. So I always start with the softball question because some people watching may not know you like what your face is, right? They may know your car, which, by the way, Boujou, if you've not seen her car, it's amazing.
Yeah,
we
have the same taste in colors.
No, you can see it. It's sitting right over there.
Yeah, the Eagle was. Yeah. I walked by. I think I was on a live and went, "Ooh, look at that!" And so I always start with the softball question of who's Chloe Mazzagatti, just so that for those who know you will probably be like, okay, we know this. But for those who don't know you will be like, oh, that's who she is. Or, hey, that's what she looks like.
Yeah, I'm Chloe Mazzagatti, driver of the number 87 Super Outlaw late model and Pro late model. The Pro car is pink and blue right now. And Usually all my cars have pink on them, but right now my Outlaw is red, white, and blue with the eagle down the side of it.
So what goes into your schemes? Because you just said you usually have these colors. So what do the colors mean to you?
Pink, just I don't know, just always like fluorescent pink, neon colors. We decided it was big 250 this year, 4th of July. Berlin was a big race. It was on the 4th of July, so we decided to go red, white, and blue. And I liked it so much, we just kept it. So now we'll probably keep it for Labor Day, and who knows, maybe the whole year.
Yeah, it's a sharp. Again, if the picture I took does not do it any close to justice. If you got to see that in person, which August 29th at the New Paris Speedway is a great place to see it in person. But again, you ran the Clash for the second time, Chloe. So what was it like? Last year's your first time at Kalamazoo racing, getting that. So if you want to take us back even a year ago, your first time at Kalamazoo, then coming back your second year to, a 4th place finish and a very stout late model field. Many champions. Terry Seneca Jr. came out of, I don't know if he was retired, but he's been out of the racing for a little bit, came out of and got his 6th record win. Of course, I know Steve Needles has been mentoring you a lot this year. I actually went to school with Steve Needles, high school together. So if you want to talk a little bit about your journey with Kalamazoo between your first time and your second time and what it takes to be successful at a place like Kalamazoo.
Oh yeah, so my first time there is I immediately fell in love with the place. I don't know what it is about these different tracks. Kalamazoo and Berlin I've always loved. We had a top 10 car at the first time around Kalamazoo back in 2025, and I was the youngest person to ever start the race and the only female. So that was pretty cool, and we we had a good run in the race. We had some wiring problems, had to pit. We ripped the front end off, had to pit, but we still ended up, I think, top 10. So that was pretty cool. And then this time come around, I was excited just to be back. It was my first time back since the Clash last year. So we went out there and gave it our all in practice. Just wasn't super fast. We never put on tires or anything. Just kind of went out there and got me used to the track again. And we ended up tied for 10th in qualifying, and then all of a sudden took off in the race. Like, track became cool, and I don't know, just came alive in the race.
Well, and you put on, just watching you move up, it was like there's a couple times I panned over because I'm like, where'd she come from? You all of a sudden were there. And so again, that was impressive to watch because I know it's a lengthy race. It's definitely you guys were on the track for a while. Two cautions were 14 minutes total themselves, between the two. So that starts going. So, what does it take for 125 laps? Like, what do you tell yourself that this isn't a 20 lap race or a 30 lap race or a 40 lap? This is 125 laps that you're going. So how do you keep yourself calm, cool, and collected in a race like that?
Oh, I sit there and I pray the whole time, especially without having a spot or anything. It gets real quiet in the car, so you almost got to talk to yourself. You just want to keep the wheels under it and be there at the end. Sometimes that's half the battle, is just trying to be there at the end and have a car at the end, which I noticed a lot of people started off real strong and then started to fall off, and I just was getting started. So, we ended up 4th in that, and it wasn't a win, but it was a win for us. After a lot of top 10s this year, the top 5 just felt amazing, especially at the Clash.
Do you prefer a longer race to a shorter race, or?
Well, all my races this year have been 100 plus laps, 200 at Owasso and stuff. I do like the longer races because I get better in the long run.
Oh, okay. Well, so Owasso this past Saturday, I know you guys worked through rain delays. You worked through all these different things. I think someone said features finally took the track around 10 or something like that. So you've talked about Berlin. So you want to talk a little bit about, for those who maybe don't know, you're from the Ohio area, where you got your start racing, and then how have you been able to take those lessons early to apply to a place like Berlin, where a lot of people are like, man, that's just like nowhere else that I've raced. And of course, Owasso, the newest looking facility around.
Yeah, so I started off in Bandolero and Legend cars, which little things, and we hopped in the late model just to test back when I was 13 last year. And my dad just said, go out there. We're going to make laps. You don't need to be fast or anything. Just get used to the car. My second time out, we were top of the charts. And my dad's like, you want to race Saturday? I'm like, sure, let's do it. So they qualified P1. This is at Norton Raceway Park, formerly Barberton Speedway. qualified P1. We started scratching the race they thought I was just gonna drive around and keep logging laps, and I ended up in the hunt P2. And we were passing for the lead on the last lap, so that was pretty cool. And then going on from that, we went to Midville Speedway and ended up winning the week after. So, and Midville is a little bit bigger, a little bit faster than Barberton. So, you know, there's a lot more cars. I think there's 18 cars. So it really just took off from there. And then having Steve at Berlin, who's raced there, I don't even know how many times, he taught me and helped me a lot. I went out there and I was kind of like, whoa, what is this all about? And then I ended up, by the end of the race, I was like, I wish I could race here locally.
Yeah, it's I mean, we've had Matt Kemp on, we've had a couple who Berlin, they're like, once you figure it out, you love it. But sometimes you got to figure it out to love it. And that, what was it, coming out of turn 3, like you got to hit your mark in 3 or 4. It's one of them that, there's a yellow line, but you don't use the yellow line. You're like against the wall.
Yeah, you almost got to diamond it. It's funky, but I've always liked the weirder tracks.
Now you go from a place like Berlin, Kalamazoo, Owasso, 3/8 and bigger, to now the bull ring of Amish country, as I call it. And each time, and some people argue on the Amish, and literally we had 3 Amish go by on Saturday. I'm like, there you go. That's all I need. I just need 1 Amish a day to go by and I'm already right. So anyways, obviously New Paris Speedway is where you'll be with Reveal the Hammer this Saturday. So then how do you, in 100 laps, right? So another 100 lap race for you. But how do you go from there at Owasso and everything to now a bull ring, quarter mile, a lot of cars on the track at one time? How do you manage all that?
It's definitely a lot. I've always been real good at adapting for some reason. That's something I've always been good at is I could hop in the Pro Late and go run at Owasso and then hop in the Outlaw and go run at M40. I've always been real good at that. So you really, especially having no spotters again. Owasso we had spotters, this time we're not. So it's really, you almost gotta train yourself to be able to go back and forth.
Well, what do you remember from New Paris last year? Because didn't you race last year too at New Paris? So what do you remember last year that are some lessons you want to take into this year? Because a lot of people talk about 1 and 2, turn 1 and 2, like that's that's a spot. But then we had someone on a few weeks ago, like, well, 3 and 4 are a little difficult, and I'm like, that most people don't say that. Not that they're wrong, but 1 and 2 is like where a lot of the action happens. So what are some lessons that you remember from last year at New Paris that you'll be bringing this year with you?
Yeah,
of course, you don't have to give all your secrets away.
Yeah, there was a lot less cars last year. It wasn't Reveal the Hammer or anything. So I don't even know where we ended up in that 6th. But yeah, 1 and 2 is definitely really tricky. You think it looks like you can drive it in way deep, get on the brakes and make the corner. You almost got to lift at the flag stand. And it's kind of like almost messes with you. You want to be able to drive it in like that and you can't. So that's the only thing I really remember. I've raced so many different tracks since then, but I was pretty good there that was my first time ever outside of Ohio racing. So in the big car. I raced at Barberton and Midville before that, and then going to New Paris, it was a little bit tricky, but I think we'll be real good this year.
Buju, what else?
So a couple drivers you get linked to because you're also in such close proximity in age is Bryce Bozell and Mason Metzger. And it seems like you guys have a good relationship with each other, but I'm curious if you guys being so linked so close gives you a little bit extra drive when you're racing those two to maybe come out ahead.
Yeah, I haven't talked to them in a while. Yeah, but when I'm out there with people I know, I'm always looking for them and seeing how they're doing and stuff. Like when I seen Bryce, he got into an incident in turn 3 and 4, and I just prayed that he was okay. And seeing Terry Seneker up front and then seeing Steve Needles in front of me, then going on to pass him, it was super cool. Even though he was having car issues, I still count the pass. But just being out there with them is super cool, especially with Andy and Phil and Terry. Like, it's just super cool being out there with them.
Who do you like racing against? Like when if you had maybe not a rival per se, but like who, when you're on the track, brings out the best in Chloe?
Really anyone, my favorite to race with is Steve because the past 2 races I've gotten to, and that's just super cool for me. He's been been my crew chief. Even when he's racing, he still crew chiefs me. And he'll, even though he's all the way up in Michigan, he'll go to Florida, race with us, Nashville, all my CRA races he's at. So it's really cool working with him and then being on the track with him.
And beating him too.
Yeah. Yeah, we were passing him when the caution came out of Owasso. I was having all kinds of radio issues and I didn't have a spotter for that whole time. So it was pretty nerve-wracking the first 50 laps of the Owasso race. And we were pushing on him. I finally got to his inside and then caution came out. I was like, gosh darn it. I really wanted to pass him for the second race in a row, but we were close.
Do you know if he's racing New Paris Saturday?
No,
I don't
he
remember.
won't. He'll be there crew chiefing me though.
Yep. Well, it's probably a short drive for him compared to the other tracks that we go to because he's, mean, he's literally down the road from me. So, or wait.
Yep.
That way. He's down the road that way. And so that's where, you know, that's it's always nice when we're local, right? Because it's some of the drives that you make. And so what's your favorite race that you've ever done that just really stands out to you where you're like, dang, like everything came together the best way possible, or even it doesn't even have to all come together. It could be just like, that was fun, you know, just even if it was like, hey, I hit the wall, but I still had a great time, like whatever it may be. What's a race that stands out to you?
Yeah, my second time ever hopping in a late model. We were gonna head to Norton Raceway Park and it rained out. So we ended up going to Midville, started 8th and ended up in the hunt for the lead. And there's a lot of good drivers there, even like Brandon Short, who now races at Owasso and stuff, Gary Whipke, a lot of old main event drivers and stuff. And we went up there for the first time in the car and we're on old tires, went out there and won the race. And that was super cool being my second ever start against 18 drivers. So that was really cool. And then the Clash, obviously, that was really cool for me. It wasn't a win, but like I said, in our eyes, it was a win.
On the flip side of that, how about one race if you could have it back and change one thing or change something, maybe it comes out a little better for you. If you could have one race back, what would it be?
Probably the first when we went to Speed Weeks in New Smyrna. We just got that brand new Pro Late model. It got dropped off at the track, and we're running good. And next thing you know, we're backed into the wall and need a rear clip. First night. So probably that one. We pitted and we had to go to the tail. So we were back there with it got pretty messy back there.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened. So if I could take it back, we wanted a pit and everything should have been fine.
Does something like that shake your confidence? Is that something that's hard to overcome when something like that happens?
That one was definitely frustrating, having to go into our backup car, which wasn't ready to get out. I mean, we had all kinds of issues with that car. We did a motor swap on Friday. It was a mess. So, you know, it definitely was a long 2 weeks and frustrated me for the rest of the weeks. But now the car's back together and we're running great in it. So I can't complain.
So where all do you race the Pro Late? Like I remember on your page, because I started following you last year on your page and obviously have since then, where I remember you debuting in the Pro Late, but where are places that you've raced it, or where are places that you want to race it and plan to go and travel around?
Yeah, so in the Pro Late, I'm running the CRA Turn 1 series. Right now we'll run Speed Weeks and stuff again. But right now, like I've ran Owasso 2 times in that car, Birch Run, all kinds of places. One I'm excited for at the end of the year is All American 400. We went there last year and made 13 laps. We got no practice. We're having all kinds of mechanical issues. That's our backup car again. So we shouldn't have to get that one out this time. And I'm excited for that race. So I'm getting to learn and try out a lot of tracks this year. And it's been awesome. Like M40 and Kinross up in the UP and all over the place.
Oh, what's one that's still on the list that you want to check off? Or a few, maybe. I'm not trying to limit you to one.
Well, on the Pro Late, I'm excited to try Berlin in it. I know I've been there in the Outlaw. Winchester. That one's gonna be pretty cool. My dad ain't very happy for that one though, but
I was gonna say, you're braver than I am, Chloe. Woo.
Yeah, I've never been there, so I've never even been there to watch a race. So I'm pretty excited for that one.
Well, Buju, I thought that was like the perfect segue, her question or her answer to like, you usually ask what's your favorite racetrack. So I thought that's where you're going. Then you swerved a little bit on me. So I'm going to steal it then.
There you go.
Unless you want to take it back.
No, take it. That's all you. I'm knocking my laptop over now.
So while he deals with like Titanic issues over there, we're sinking ship. But Chloe, what's a track that obviously you're talking about all these places you go? What's one that really stands out to you where you just look forward to it, or to your favorite to watch or race at, or both?
Berlin. I don't know what it is about that place. There's such good racing there too. To be able to run side by side. I ran side by side with Phil there for I don't even know how many laps. That was some really good racing. That was really cool to do, especially with him winning there last year. So it was really cool to do that. And of course, Nashville. Those two tracks always stood out to me. Both beautiful facilities. I don't know what it is about them. Just love them.
Now, someone on here, so Ryman Castle is saying it's a weapon on iRacing. So what's all that about?
Me and him do iRace a lot. I haven't even been on iRacing since racing season started. So, but no, we do have a lot of fun on iRacing. He's the weapon though. We usually, I think me and his go to are super late models at Five Flags. So it's a lot of fun on there. We'll get Jaden Kurtashi. I don't know how you say his last name. Him on there. Yep. I was close. We'll get him on there and all kinds of people. So it's a lot of fun during the off season.
Yeah. Chloe smoked me in iRacing before as well.
Oh. Equal opportunity provider. That's what I'm hearing. She's an equal opportunity provider. Now, is there anyone who you've raced in iRacing who you've then had a chance to, to go out and race in the big cars where you're like, I beat you in iRacing, now I beat you in real life too?
Yeah, me and Jaden, I never got to race him before. Well, I raced him at Berlin and then at Owasso this year, the one time he did race. And he did beat me by, I think, 1 or 2 positions. But me and him did battle for a few laps. And that was pretty cool from iRacing the real life. I can't.
Yep.
I've raced Bryce Mason on iRacing. There's quite a few people, but I can't think of the rest.
Well, because I saw a post where someone was talking about out in Ohio or Pennsylvania somewhere where they're like, they were naming the names. They're like, I've raced against these guys on iRacing for 5 years and finally had a chance to race with them in person at a racetrack. Like they were all in one spot at one time for the first time after like 5 years. And so I figured I'd ask because that's kind of been a topic where people are like, I'm finally meeting people who I've seen in iRacing or race in iRacing where now I can race against them in person too. So I thought that's pretty cool because iRacing is a way to bring a lot of people together from, around everywhere, right? So you may not always get a chance to race against people like that. But I know as we're hitting the home stretch here, of course, to get to all these places, you need a big support group. Who is behind you? And from the stands, there's a lot of fans that are also behind you, but like sponsors, marketing partners, whatever you want to call them, plus family and everything else. Like who's all behind Chloe Mazzagatti getting you to the racetrack all the time?
Oh yeah, my family. For them putting up with me every weekend. It's been a lot. We're on the road all the time, like going from Owasso to Kalamazoo to Owasso. Now we're going to New Paris, and then who knows after that. We got to go when we get a time. But my dad, he drives the big rig there, and my mom follows in her truck. So once we get there, we can get back and forth to the hotel and to eat and stuff. And my little brother, he tries to be a part of the pit crew. He's a big help out in the shop and stuff. And John Pritchett, he comes out and helps. We're out there in the shop right now. We're helping a buddy with his street stock. And, Steve Needles, once we get to the track, it's hard because he lives in Michigan. We want him to move to Ohio, but we'd love to have him here. But, once we get there and when we take our cars up there, he's a great guy. Him and his dad, Doug, they've both taught me and showed me so much. And both gave me hot rods, it shows too.
And then I know Brandon, he's always busy. I don't know when Brandon sleeps either, but I know you had Brandon Hollis the other day.
Brandon Hollis and Justin Hart. Yep.
He was
Brandon. Yeah, he's going to be at Owasso for the big ASA race. Is it Tuesday, Wednesday?
I think it's this Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, he'll be there doing tires. He never stops. He's go, and he's also, tires are a big deal in these cars. So he's always gave me a good car too. And then we got my spotter Justin Hart. He's there at all the races, and when there is spotters, and even when there ain't spotters, he's always there helping. So we got a really good crew put together.
Now, for those who may be wondering, because there's a lot of drivers who've never had a spotter before, but obviously for some of the big races, you see them a lot in the stands, like even CRA last year we had. So if you want to talk a little bit about, obviously in NASCAR, we know the spotters role and what they do and that kind of deal. So do you want to give people a little bit of an idea for you in a short track racing scene, like how a spotter can help you or some of the different things that a spotter can coach you through as you're on the track?
Yeah, they're definitely busy. I'd love to try to spot people when I'm not racing, but I don't think I could do it. You gotta stick with your decision. I'd be like, oh, they look like they're gonna go. Oh, they're not. I'd get somebody killed out there.
Yeah.
But you know, they keep you safe out there. When they're there, they tell them, all right, they're looking, they're there, you're clear. They're rolling the outside. The leaders are coming. They provide a lot of information for you, even on the choose cone. If you choose inside or outside, they'll count the rows out for you. Their job is a lot busier than I feel NASCAR, in my opinion. They got a lot more stuff to keep track of in NASCAR, but on track wise, they're definitely busy keeping you safe out there.
So it's happening a lot faster in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, that's where I know that fourth place finish at Kalamazoo was just incredible to watch, and I'm excited to see you again. Instead of watching you just once this year, I get to watch you at New Paris, so I'm excited to see what you do down at that quarter mile bull ring, because without all late models, we race them once a year at New Paris, and this is it. And it's a 25th annual too. So it's one of those historic races that some of the names that you raced against or competed with at Kalamazoo are going to be down there too. And so what's it like been racing for a Reveal? And then what's your goals with the Reveal the Hammer series before we let you go here?
Yeah, New Paris, everybody should be pretty equal, like you said, with them racing once a year. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, I race every weekend and have an advantage on anybody. So there should be some really good racing with how many cars are entered and everything. It's definitely gonna be a tight track, but my goal for Reveal the Hammer and CRA right now is Rookie of the Year. We're both currently second in points. Really close though. So Rookie of the Year in both and a top 10 in both. And we're running for a Wasso points. And I'm not sure where we're sitting in that after last night, or Saturday. All my days are running together now.
Yeah.
We got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to head to a Wasso. We looked at the weather, 100% of storms all day. We're like, we're gonna go back to bed. They ain't getting it in. We woke up at 8, and they said we're getting it in no matter what. So by 9 o'clock, we're on the road rushing there. We get there 10 before 2, and practice starts at 2. We just throw the car out of the trailer, check air pressures, and go. So it was really cool to be that fast at a Wasso. Especially from the race, we didn't get to qualify on new tires or anything. And after all the rain, the track was actually really good. And I want to give a shout out to the track for getting the show win.
Yeah, I kept watching the updates because Chris Phobie announces there. He announces at Corgan. And so we were talking about his busy schedule. I'm like, yeah, I have 4 out of 5 days where, I only knew it's Monday because I've been scheduling the Monday Night Rewind since I talked with you the other day. So I'm like, I know Monday's coming. I just didn't always remember. And, what time is it? Is it sun up or sun down? But I know, obviously with the drives that you guys are making to get there just in time at Owasso and load off like that, but at least you had some rain delays, maybe to just catch your breath a little bit too. So, but kudos to them, because that's not easy,
No.
to do that. And I know it probably gets people super frustrated, like, okay, you should have just canceled this because now it's this late, but they got it in, obviously they have a big team there. And the late mile race seemed like it was great too. I was following along with Chelsea Landis's updates as she was posting different things. So I'm like, hey, they're going. So, so again, I know you guys are working on a car. You said you're in the shop and everything working. So I definitely don't want to keep you any longer because you're busy. And maybe at some point you'll see your onboard at some point. I know that it died. I think yours was under the last caution. So we needed like one last caution and we would have had the whole race. But You'll get to see that tonight. I was just getting ready to edit yours. I'm like, oh shoot, now I got to get on. So it was 6:40.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that. I'm excited. They did have a lot of cautions. I was getting so nervous, and then when they single filed us, I was like, oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, that's how I can tell where we were in the race is with the cautions, because this camera died after Kyle Crump spun out, so at least I knew where we were within the race. But I was actually shocked. I thought we'd get like 50 minutes, but the cameras performed. They just an hour. Most of them got anywhere from an hour 30 to hour 36, and you're thinking, well, that's usually like a full race. Not quite. So so you will see yours. It's coming, but I appreciate you again for allowing me to be in your car and ride along with you. So again, you're fun to watch, and you're definitely, I mean, you're going to carry this sport into the future. And you're what, 14 now, or did you just
turn 15?
I was going to say, I thought it was just your birthday not too long ago. So just turned 15. So again, Boozer, just think of the future of the sport when we have someone like Chloe Mazzagatti, who's already a trailblazer and laying a solid foundation for the future. So keep up what you're doing, because to compete at the level you're competing at is not easy. You know, people in the grandstand think it's easy sometimes, but obviously, you know, there's a big difference between driving in the grandstand and driving on the track. And so, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, because you're coming a really long ways. And just in the year to year, watching at Kalamazoo, I'm like, if that's what you did in 1 year, I don't know, may not be too long before maybe you're hoisting that trophy at the Kalamazoo Klash, because you were on the move. And I think if we had a 200 lap race, you might have even been right there too, because you were gaining on them lap after lap. So again, great run at Kalamazoo, and I'm looking forward to seeing you this Saturday at the New Paris Speedway.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Again, thank you, Chloe, for taking the time tonight. So, but I know you're working, so we'll let you get to work.
Go get that race car ready.
Yeah. Do you ever race straight stocks, or do you think you'll ever race a street stock before we let you go?
We owned one. We just sold it a couple of years back. We're working on our buddies right now. I mean, I've talked to Josh Way. I was thinking about running the Trident at Lorraine, but then we figured out we got a Berlin race, I think it is, that weekend. So maybe one time you'll catch me in a street stock. I mean, I'll drive anything anybody offers me. So
I like that.
someone take note on that. We got a lot of people watching right now. We're bringing on after you, Hailey Boal. She's the first female, if from what we know, unless Cindy Strimmy did it way back. But she's the first female to win a street stock championship at New Paris, and she had a roller coaster day. That was she between rated air blowing and still coming back out. So you know, she's her first year in the street stock. So I was just wondering, because we just don't have a lot of females in the street stock ranks, but since you said street stock, I'm like, would you ever jump into a street stock? So someone's listening that's a street stock. You never know. Chloe says she'll race anything, so might just get one ready. But again, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Keep being a good representative of the sport.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, again, we were talking with Chloe Mazzagatti out of Ohio. She just raced at Kalamazoo last Wednesday, raced at Owasso on Saturday, and she will be at the New Paris Speedway for the Summer Sizzler 25th edition this coming Saturday with Reveal the Hammer series. So you can come on out and see Chloe Mazzagatti race in her very beautiful 87. If you've not seen it in person, you need to. But someone who just won a championship, and I mean, my heart broke for Hailey when her radiator went. I'm like, this is not the way the championship should be decided. And I just kind of sunk on the roof there. Obviously, I sponsored Charlie Hanna and Sage Hanna, so I'm rooting for them. But, you know, I gave a little, I don't know if it helped Hailey or not, but I gave her a little bit of a pep talk earlier in the day, because watching her has been so fun. And when that radiator, I went, this is not how this should go. And, you know, you leave it all on the track. And she definitely did. She came back out after that lengthy red flag. And so that was really exciting to see. Kudos to the team for busting tail to get that done. So let's go ahead and let's bring on the Monteith's Tire 2026 New Paris Speedway Street Stock Track Champion and Rookie of the Year, Hailey Boal. Hailey, welcome to the Monday Night Rewind.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm excited. Like I said, you know, even though I have two cars, obviously, who are in the points chase with you, you know, I not only did I go and make fun of Sage first. That's always one of the first things I do at the track. Make fun of her for a little bit. talk to Charlie, but then I always come over and stop and have a chat with you and Rich. And that's when that radiator went. I'm like, I was so defeated, and I'm not even in the car. I'm like, this is not how this should go. This is not how a championship gets decided. But you came out, and the championship got decided the way it's supposed to on the racetrack. And so, for those who are watching who may not know you, because we just had Chloe on, she brings a huge audience too. Who's Hailey Boal? That's always the softball question. Then from there, we shoot first and aim second. So it's just from there we kind of figure out where we go. But let's always start with, who are you?
Well, I'm a third generation race car driver. Obviously, my dad and then my grandpa before me. I just got into street stock this year, and I love it. Other than that, I really like to read books and play with my dog, which if you hear her, I apologize. She's back there somewhere.
No, we welcome pets on this show.
Yeah, we've had, my Gizmo, a cat, made an appearance. We've had Ron Vrash has had his dogs in the thing. So we're not anti-animal. And I do apologize if I cough. Ever since they put all that oil dry down at New Paris, I've had a cough. And so I am not appreciative of the oil dry at the moment, because I'm sure I inhaled years worth of whatever that is. But so if I cough, I apologize. I forgot to say that to Chloe earlier. I'm not coughing because I'm just, that oil dry got to me on Saturday, which is not your fault, by the way. We heard Buju, she apologized to the safety team.
I felt bad.
Yeah, I hear you.
She apologized, and I'm like, so no need to apologize for my cough. This is not your responsibility. It happens. I mean, go to Super Shoe, and I will catch up with my coughing by then too, because there will be more oil dry there than on, I think, the whole season. But again, a huge congratulations. I know this year, some frustrations too, right? Like, you're loving the street stock, but some frustrations because you were so dominant in that Hornet, and you did so well in the Hornet. You got so used to getting checkered flags and parking in victory lane, and maybe not it coming easy, but like making it look easy, right? Then you made the jump to the street stock earlier this year, and it is different. And so first, why don't we just start there? What for you, because we've had Evan Verdine on who's talked about that. We've had Sage Hannah who's talked a little bit about it. For you, going from a very successful Hornet career to the street stocks, what was the big difference and change for you? Not talking about confidence.
For one, I had to learn how to drive a clutch. Still sometimes my dad and Zach have to remind me, like, just slow down and, like, you have a clutch now. And sometimes I literally just forget, and I'll go to take off and it just dies on me. But I'm, first year in, and I'm trying not to be, I do get frustrated with it though, because I'm like, come on, like, remember that. But other than that, the speed was a big thing, which obviously as I got more comfortable in it, I picked up time, which was wonderful, because I was not happy with my lap times at the beginning of the year. But I went a 14.9 on Saturday, so that's my fastest lap at New Paris yet. So I was pleased with that progression. I guess just being in a bigger car, like, it's longer, it's wider. You have to, you can't just dive bomb it in there anymore like you could with the Hornet. Like,
preferably not.
Yeah, preferably not. No. And then probably kind of, I don't want to say like I had to relearn the track completely, but you have different lift points and different points you can get back on the gas with, like where I'm comfortable at in the car to where I was. So, I mean, with the Hornet, I don't know that I was off the gas for much more than maybe a second, whereas the street stock, I had to like relearn all that, and it's definitely more than a second, probably, I would say.
So do you want to talk a little bit about the confidence then too, right? Because that's something that I know, and you don't have to if you don't want to, but you had like Buju, myself, and like hundreds of thousands of people behind you, like, no, girl, you're doing it. Like, you're doing so well. But I know for you, right, like that was a big thing. So how do you overcome that to the point that now you can say, hopefully very proudly, by the way, after everything you went through on Saturday, I am the 2026 New Paris Speedway track champion. And from what most of us could figure out, the first female, unless Cindy Strumming did it or someone who we're not sure.
Chris said Cindy did, but
Cindy did.
Hailey's the first rookie to do.
First rookie. So I mean, clean sweep. I just see the comment now. My mistake. Yep. But although I did say earlier, Cindy might have done it if anyone did do it. But I mean, think about that. Cindy Stremme, Trailblazer, Hailey Boal in the same sentence, track champion at New Paris. What's that like, especially for that confidence where I know that was a big thing for you to go overcome, where even your dad's like, I keep trying to tell her.
I'd get lectures every night, like, get out of your head. I don't even want to know. I don't even know if I could count how many times I was told in like the last 7 days leading up to Saturday last week, how many times I was told by him to just like get out of my head and calm down. And he's like, you're racing one car and like go out there, run your race. As far as confidence, I think I still don't know that I have a lot of it in the street stock, just because I'm very hard on myself, and I like to see, like, to me, like, even though like I have the championship, I still haven't won the feature in the street stock. So like to me, I'm like, okay, that's that's my next goal. And yeah, I would say while I'm like more comfortable in the car, I don't know that I have that like confidence level that I used to have like in the Hornet, but I will say the last couple weeks, even with the hardships that have come, because my last couple weeks of my season was honestly kind of ridden with bad luck, but even the last couple weeks, I guess the confidence started coming in terms of competitiveness, like what I did gain, just because I got more comfortable in the car. I started getting faster lap times. I started qualifying like higher up on the board, and I got more comfortable out on the track in the car. So I guess I did gain some, but not to the level that I had it before.
It's coming, I hope, because again, you're just to watch you this year. And this is one of the things that I love about going to a track weekly. Even though I get invited to go to all these different places that I could build a schedule where I can go here, go there. I love being at a track weekly. I love the routine of it, but I love the connection of it. I love being able to talk with drivers, connect with them, get to know them, get to know their story, and watch that growth. And watching you your first time out of the street stock to even like roller coaster of emotions on. I mean, like I said, I was sad. Like this is not how this should go. And meanwhile, a car that I do sponsor could have won the championship if you had stayed in the pit area, right? But it's like, no, this is not how this should go. It needs to be settled on the track, right? So the roller coaster Saturday, even then, like I had a chance to talk with you when I switch in batteries in the GoPros, and you seemed calm. You're like, I'm thirsty. Like, that's her first time. Like, not well. I'm like, I can't help you with that, but but it was one of those things that I think if you watch video back and you just see the things that you've been able to do. I mean, it's night and day from where you first started, but you were dang good out the gate too. So it was one of those things that I hope that it comes for you, because you're just so good behind the wheel. It's natural. It's part of your bloodline, right? I mean, you've grown up a race. Yeah, you've grown up around racing. And obviously when you have someone like Rich who has championships, he had at multiple tracks, right? I mean, he has those feature wins, he has those things. It's going to come, and just think about that too. Everything that you guys overcame, on top of, obviously a lot of people know that he's had some health issues over the last couple of weeks, in and out of the hospital. Like that has to play in things too, where like, okay, I got to focus. I'm at the racetrack. I am here to race, but how's dad? What's dad doing? Why is he not sitting? Like all these things, which we're not going to tell on him in case his doctor's watching. But yeah, I don't think he probably sat much on Saturday like he should have been. No. But so do you want to talk a little bit about like, your goal was Rookie of the Year, right? Talk a little bit about not only from that confidence, but then, how do you keep yourself grounded, when you have all these other things going on? Like what kept you so grounded and in the moment rather than getting ahead of yourself or getting behind yourself?
Well, at the beginning of the year, it was more so, I guess getting to race with my dad for the first time, because obviously I didn't get to do that in the Hornet. And a lot of it was if I could just focus on like I don't know if anyone like ever paid attention like during hot laps or whatnot, but I would go out at the same time and make sure I could like chase him. And I guess focusing on like, you know, my following his line and like watching where he's letting off, stuff like that. I guess in a way that kept me grounded and like kept me from getting overly, I mean, I'm always in my head at the racetrack. I'm not going to lie to you. That's always like, it's a mind game. But yeah, I guess in the beginning of the year, it was more so that just because I knew there was a lot to learn there, and I knew if I could focus and just calm down and ground myself, that right there is like 40 years of experience that I could learn from.
Yeah.
And then in June, when he got benched, he was more of like a vocal coach like he was before, obviously, because he wasn't able to be out there. And then these last couple weeks, I guess what grounded me was just since, I don't know, I'm assuming people probably know this, before I took over the points lead, he was the points leader, and that would have been his 12th championship if he would have won it, and he never had one at New Paris either, so that would have been a first for him. So the last couple weeks, it was more, of course I wanted it for myself, but I wanted it for him also, because if he couldn't win it, it's, you know, his next obviously best choice would be me. So I guess that would be what kept me grounded and focused, just because I knew if I let myself get overly, I could mess up and let it slip. So.
And Buju, she did take the advice. She found a spot on Saturday away from the car.
Yeah.
As I recommended, I said, go find somewhere not near the car, not even in where was your spot? Where did you find comfort?
So my best friend, her husband, came to the races on Saturday, and I went with her over to her vehicle and just kind of sat there for a couple minutes in silence and calmed down a little bit right before the feature. It was, I think the 4 cylinders had just went out, and I'm like, okay, I have a couple minutes. So
good. When she said she did do that, I'm like, yes. I'm like,
it helped. I was still nervous, but it cleared my head a little bit. So
they sometimes say if you're having like rough days, so I'm a very Sheldon Cooper when it comes to some things, where like I like the same parking spot, I like the same kind of things, where sometimes they say if you need to get out of your head, park in a different spot, like far away from your comfort, you know, walk to a building differently than what you usually do, take a different path. And so that's why I'm like, don't be near a car. don't be in the pit area. It may help you. And if it doesn't, at least we tried it. And if you're like, nah, bro, I hated that, then don't do it again. But at least it helped a little bit. But I know I've asked a lot of questions. So I'm going to get a drink of water, and I know Buju's full of questions. So I'm going to let Buju take a couple here.
So yeah, one thing we had in common is that we had the same favorite driver growing up. He just happened to be your dad. So you said he was a great teacher, but how has your dad been as a teacher so far, moving up to the street stock?
Honestly, he's a lot calmer than I thought he'd be.
Yeah, that's surprising.
I figured he'd be nervous, honestly.
Yeah,
just because, you know, it's a big step, you know, going from a 4-cylinder to a V8. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes he really only has to tell me something like once or twice. It just clicks. I don't know if it's the way my brain works or the way he's explaining it, but I don't know. And I think it helped that he could just show me too. Also, like I get to go out there and just follow them around. And
he's been through it all already, at least once for sure.
Yep.
Has this experience, your experience in the street stock, given you any more respect for what he's done all these years? I know you're already his biggest fan already, but
yeah, points racing alone. I've joked. I've joked multiple times. I don't ever want to do that again. That was stressful, but I'm not gonna lie, it was very rewarding in the end. So I'm sure I'll do it at some point. But, to have 11 of those, that's impressive. And I don't even know how I did this one, so I can't imagine how he felt getting 11 of them. So,
and they were going till 3 a.m, and they had a D feature, and
well, that's where I didn't know he didn't win one at New Paris. In my head, I mean, I knew South Bend, I knew Plymouth, and in my head, I thought he had a New Paris one at some point. But so I just learned something new tonight. That's where I thought he did. But I mean, he seemed pretty calm on Saturday too, which probably good from a doctor's standpoint that he seemed calm. So do you want to talk a little bit about, because I know in your post-race interview, which was recorded. It's just not edited yet. It's coming though. But in your your championship interview with Jeremy, you talked a little bit about there's a lot of people who helped you get back on the track. So obviously that red flag was super helpful, that they had a lot of a cleanup to do, right? So do you want to talk a little bit about that behind the wall where nobody really could see what's going on except for those in turn 4 and 3? Who helped like get that car back together to get you back on the track so that the championship was decided the way that it should always be decided, and that's on the track?
So I'm not gonna lie, there was so much going on. I only remember a couple people who were helping. For one, it was Jazz, which he has helped my dad for the last few years.
Yep.
My mom was over there for moral support, making sure she's like, you know, if someone didn't hear something, she'd be like, hey, they said they need this. You know, my dad was trying to jump in, even though he probably shouldn't have been. I know Bobby Schischler was over there.
Yeah.
My boyfriend Zach was over there helping. My cousin Christopher. I mean, there were so many. Left Turn Willie was over there. My goodness, there was so many hands just in that. I'm honestly grateful because I walked off the track and I seen oil and I'm like, okay, my night's done. Like I'm like half into the trailer. I'm getting my fire suit off and Zach's like, we're gonna try to fix it. Get in the car and get ready. And I'm like, okay, I seen oil, but okay. I'm like, if you say so. Because, you know, at that point, like, I didn't know everything I was looking at either. So, so I'm in there and they start, you know, all these tools. The fan shroud comes off because it's all wadded up. And they, like, rerouted a whole oil line because there was a hole in it and bypassed a bunch. It was honestly, and then I seen a ratchet strap coming in at some point to hold my radiator in my car. Like, it was honestly like how fast they work too and how in sync. Like someone would say something and be like, oh yeah, like I can do this. And some guy ran for a funnel because no one could, like the simplest thing, like no one could find one. So it that honestly like it was really cool. And especially to be on like the receiving hand of that, like you always see people talk about like the community at a racetrack, but to be like on the receiving end of that was really cool.
Very humbling for sure.
Well, again, just you taking us through that, right? It's like, I mean, just the amount of people who jumped in to help with that. Again, I hesitated posting. It's kind of like, do I post? Do I not post? Do I post or I not post? And because it's like, it sucks that it happened, but it's like, but it keeps people updated. And then when you came back out, I'm like, okay, we're back in this, right? And I shouldn't say we're because I'm not in the car, but but it was one of those, again, like I'm rooting for Charlie, rooting for Sage, but rooting for you because I've just where you've come and where you've gone, right? Like it's just I'm a big fan of what you're doing and how you're racing and the way that you're racing. You know, you're not out there bullying people, you're not taking people out, you're not putting them in the wall, you're not like as a rookie, you don't look like a rookie. You know, and I'm sure if I showed people video and I said, pick the rookie in this race, the 22 with pink is, oh, hey, that's not too bad. That's the first spark. And we've been on almost 30 minutes. Right. So that says, but it was out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, maybe he agrees. But I mean, you know, just, I bet if I ask someone to pick a rookie, they're not going to pick your car. Right. Like you don't stand out as a rookie. And so with that, that's where, you know, taking us through that, it's like I couldn't see what was going on because you're just behind the big wall there. So I'm like, okay, I see commotion, I hear stuff, but again, that just for everyone to jump in. Josh Summers, let's give a shout out to Josh Summers. Unfortunately, the new Paris rule is once the race starts, they can't change cars or anything like that. It opens up gray areas, which I understand. I'm kind of like, well, what if the whole field took a vote that was nixed and you know, I was trying to politic a little bit, but you know, Josh Summers, right? He volunteered his car. He was going to get out of his car and let you get in it just so you could finish the race. And I thought, again, that gesture, right? It's almost like you want to honor that gesture. I get rules are rules, but I see rules broken all the time, by the way. So which rule are we enforcing and when? And that's not a new Paris thing. There are rules everywhere, right? Galesburg, wherever, like rules are rules, right? And so sometimes it's like, I don't know, you let that rule go. So why, and again, this is not a specific New Paris. It's just sometimes those rules. I'm like, man, you got someone who's willing to give up their car, and this is the championship night. Like, it's not like a weekly night, right? This is the championship. And so, but I obviously didn't force it because it's not my rule book, but it's like, man, if ever can get on. So let's, Josh Summers to do that. That was incredible because again, that shows the community, right? That, hey, like, I know this is bigger than me. I've raced here a couple times this year. Hailey's literally in the championship chase. Like, let's get her a car. Let's get her on the track. And let's finish this where it should be finished. And that's on the track. So I didn't want to forget that point that, Josh Summers offered that. So kudos to him because he didn't have to, right? No one had to.
No. Yeah. I thought that was awesome when I was told about that. I'm like, not that I would have, honestly, I would never expect that on anybody. Like, no one, especially like someone who you don't know how they're going to run your car, like, I don't know, it takes a lot for someone to offer that up. Yeah.
Because I mean, anything could happen at any given moment, right? And to be like, hey, this is a bigger moment than any of us right now. And so again, just big kudos to Josh Summers and for offering that opportunity. But that's when you came back out. The crowd was excited. A big round of applause and cheer because again, that was really just, again, sad to see when it happened. And I know there's a brake check, right? Like the field kind of checked up and you just kind of hit it at the right spot at the wrong time or wrong spot, right time, whatever, which way we want to go with it. So when we're at this moment now, thinking of who did that in the pit area, who are the sponsors who are on your car this year that have helped you, both you and your dad get to the track?
Hold on.
Yeah. You're allowed to read,
not
by the
used
way.
to doing this part.
Yeah.
As the fill-in announcer at the New Paris Speedway, the list is long.
Okay, so for one, I want to thank my mom, my dad, my grandpa, Zach, Christopher, Jazz, just for the, the weekend week out support, the help, everything under the sun. And then R&B Car Company, Milligan's Auto Plus, DC Garage Door, Depew Auto Group, Hoax Graphics, Tough Guy Enterprises, Davis Family Racing, Dirty D Motors, Brand Roofing, BNS Logistics, and I want to say I covered them. Brand Roofing. I maybe said that already.
There you go. You got it twice.
So he got a shout out.
His money's worth. Yeah.
Yep. So, because obviously it takes a lot of people, especially street stock racing, right? So what are your plans? Obviously, you're in the street stock, but do you have any, like your dad did, outlaw late model racing? Do you think you would ever want to do limited late model racing or outlaw late model racing, or are you pretty happy and content in maybe not happy, or you're pretty content in the street stock, right? Because I know obviously we got to work on the confidence part. So maybe So what are your plans? Like, where do you see your career going as it continues to unfold?
So I definitely want to stay so street stocks are my favorite class, like period dot. Like I will always probably the rest of my racing career at least try to have one. So that's obviously like my favorite, and I'm very content in that class right now. I don't know. I think, give me a couple of years, and if we still had outlaws, maybe I would jump in one if Dad was cool with it. But as of right now, no, I'm like fully focused on the street stock. I probably wouldn't, if he were to be like next year, like, hey, do you want to, no, not at this moment. No, maybe like 4 years, give me another couple years.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, but yeah, at least not full time.
Well, and a lot of people, you have a lot of late model drivers who have gone, I don't want to say go back because I don't want to make it seem like it's a downgrade, but who have stepped over to the street stocks and they're more fun. Steve Stacy said that in the past, who obviously he too has championships and all that kind of deal. Like he's loved the street stock, where I think this is the first year really that he's gotten the late model as many times as he has in a while. But that's where I was wondering, because it's like, I know the outlaws are there, although I think you guys did sell one.
Yeah, we have one still.
So I know obviously he's talked a little bit about that and having the outlaw. So that's where I'm like, I wonder if you'd ever jump in that, because obviously template racing really isn't staying around, and I know he raced templates for a little bit too. So with that, Buju, did you have any other questions? Because I know, like I said, I know I've asked a lot, but my brain's racing as I'm going through the questions.
Back at New Paris next year, plans still in the air. What's next year looking like?
I definitely love to go back to New Paris. I enjoyed racing there as a Hornet. That was one reason why I wanted to go back. Plus, my dad, he's very firm on the fact that if you can race New Paris, you can get around there, you can get around anywhere. So when I got in the street stock, it was very important for me to go over there. And I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed the staff, the people there, the racing. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I will definitely go back.
Yeah. Any plans for big races next year? Maybe Raber's Rumble, something like that.
I might attempt the Flagger Boy. I don't know. As far as this year, I would like to go to the Showdown at South Bend, but that's my home track, so I would love to go back there.
Yep. Where a lot of history too for your dad and your grandfather, right? I mean, just bull racing and South Bend Motor Speedway or South Bend Speedway, right? Just go hand in hand. So, and I know.
Do you have any memories? Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no.
Do you have any memories of your grandpa racing or no?
I don't.
No? You missed out.
I know when I was really young, my dad would take the old El Camino that he would run to like Night of Destruction events, but that's like the only.
Gotcha.
Other than
I
like,
wasn't sure how the years lined up, but yeah, he was wild to watch sometimes, as you could probably imagine.
Well, because didn't he land in the turn 3 bleachers? Wasn't he one of the drivers who did, or was that a Hannah?
That could be. That was a hand. That was
okay.
A hand that you're talking
but
about. I wouldn't be surprised if Rick did it too.
Yeah, I felt like Rich talked about something like that one time, and I can't remember. And I've tried, but with that, right? Obviously, we continue to hope for your dad to maybe find time to sit and relax a little bit too. But because watching him race is still always fun, and he's been a huge supporter of Chris and Tracy too. So that's where when you have an endorsement like Rich Boal giving it to New Paris, that's where I wish more and more drivers would share their experience, because I don't think Chris and Tracy are sometimes getting the credit that they do deserve. I mean, they're keeping a track open that I'm sure some developer at some point might come to them with all that farm field around there and offer a nice fat check, and they could just, here you go, here's the keys, and walk away, right? That your dad has been very vocal about, I love my time at New Paris. They've treated me with nothing but respect. And then hearing you say that, and we have a lot of people watching right now to hear, like, I know people have perception of New Paris in the past, and obviously even in that moment in day, there might be times where people are mad that day at New Paris. Like, you might even be mad one of these days, like, man, this place, but then it's like, okay, adrenaline, all the things, right? Like, I still love it here. And so to hear you even say you're positive, it's like, that's the kind of stuff that we need more and more people to say about New Paris, that it's not what it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Like, they sometimes take it on the chin for what they've had to do, but they've definitely made it an environment where people can be a part of. The staff works well together. So it's like, man, just so hearing you say that, I'm glad, to hear your experience there and that you look forward to coming. So I know Chris is in here watching. So just to be clear, I'm sure Chris did not pay you any money under the table to say
this is not a paid endorsement by the New Paris Speedway.
But he did wonder about Trifecta on September 19th, Saturday. If I know you didn't do the 2 Trifecta races yet, but maybe September 19th, come on out. It's the final race at New Paris, weekly regular racing at New Paris. Maybe?
I'll say maybe.
Maybe?
It'll depend on, because like I said, I'd really love to go to South Bend, so I guess it would probably just honestly depend if the car got tore up there.
Well, we're going to hope not for that.
Everybody behave at South Bend on the 12th.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so you'd be South Bend in the Hornet, right? Because didn't you race the Hornet at South Bend a couple of times? No. Yes.
Yes.
No? Yes.
Yep. So my first ever season racing was like the last full season of South Bend. So I raced there the full year in the Hornet, and then last year, the year before, whenever they did like that last lap, I went there for that in the Hornet, and then 4th of July, Misty Gardner let me get back in my old Hornet, and I went there and raced. So in a street stock, I haven't raced there. I'm kind of nervous, but I was a blast in the Hornet. So
again, your dad is right. A lot of people say this too, but your dad definitely is right. If you can race at New Paris, there are a lot of places you can race, just because it's a technical track in a lot of ways. You
Mhm.
get, getting through 1 and 2. I mean, you were at the tail end of Chloe coming on and talked a little bit about how it feels that you should race new pairs versus the reality of racing new pairs. And so, so again, if you can do that, like I'd love to see you someday come up to Kalamazoo and give that a shot and race with that group of street stocks and see how you do with them and just get that experience, right? Like Cody Lawler has done that
Mhm.
this year, where I think he's made a lot of gains in doing that, where the couple trips he made, right, he was off the pace to everyone else, but this year he's been right with them. And so, including doing really well in the Ravers until his false start, that kind of changed that race for him. But it's like you get up there, and then if you can race Kalamazoo, you'd be able to go just about anywhere and probably beat some butt while you're doing it. So, so again, I know you've had a busy weekend. When you messaged me yesterday, I'm like, I could just imagine your inbox and I
It
know you
was
still probably have messages to catch up on. That's why I'm like, I'm sending this at 1 tomorrow. That's my routine, but because I at least like to be somewhat near the top of the
Mhm.
inbox. But again, you have so many people in your corner, so just keep going out, control what you can control and within that circle, because you're doing better than I think you think you're doing. So,
Yeah, I agree with that.
but I know at the end of the day, it's not what we think. At the end of the day, it has to be what you're thinking. So, because you're the one behind the wheel, but just know that the person behind the wheel knows what they're doing and is doing just an absolutely fantastic job at it. So
Thank you.
keep doing, because you have one of what is going to be many track championships in your career, and that feature is coming. I mean, you were close a few weeks ago, and they say the hardest one to get is the first one, but I have a feeling once you get that one, Hailey's taking over. It's going to be the Hailey Tour. So again, congratulations on your 2026
Yes,
Monteith
congratulations.
Tire Street Stock New Pair Speedway Track Championship and Rookie of the Year. Clean sweep. I don't know that happens too often either, that you get someone gets Rookie of the Year and a championship in the same year.
First one at New Paris, apparently.
Yep. So so again, congratulations, Hailey, on
Thank you.
that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congratulations.
No, again, thank you, and thank you for coming on tonight.
Yep.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, hey, it's our honor to have someone like
That's
you on
right.
here.
Champion.
So again, we've thanked
Lewis will send your check in the mail.
yeah. I mean, we've talked about you a lot on, between Mondays and Thursdays, because you're definitely impressive out there. So enjoy it. Well, just take a moment and enjoy that championship.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, no, again, thank you. Again, we've been talking with Hailey Boal. She is the official 2026 Monteith Tire Street Stock Track Champion at the New Paris Speedway. It sounds like you'll get to see her next at the South Bend Motor Speedway Showdown. Boujou, what are the dates on that? I obviously am out of the loop.
That would be the weekend of September 12th. So,
all right. So, hey, if you're not at the Night of Destruction at Kalamazoo or at New Paris, it sounds like you should be down at South Bend to watch the showdown.
I'll be racing as well, I believe. So,
but you don't count. So,
hey, okay. My track record, that's only a couple laps at a time.
Yeah. So go watch Hailey. That's who we're advertising right now. We're advertising Hailey.
And I'll make an appearance as well.
So Boujou will be there pretending to be a race car driver like he does a lot of the time. So again, just busting on Boujou a little bit. I haven't had a chance to do that in a while. But before we bring on Kyle, Drew Jack wants me to do a little bit of a drawing here. And I know Kyle, he's been in the chat area or staging area for a little bit. So I'm ready to bring on Flipper, which I will address him as Flipper because that's how he addresses himself as his Flipper. So so it's kind of like how you don't go by Brandon, you go by Boujou. So
all right, we got Flipper coming on next. Then.
Yep. So
I'm excited. I'm excited to learn about Kyle / Flipper. I know the name, and I've definitely seen him race a few times.
So
curious to learn the name, learn the guy behind the name. Yeah.
Well, because I even went through and I watched a bunch of his videos too, because I've called him Kyle numerous times, right? But then I'm like, okay, every video though he addresses himself as Flipper. So I'm just calling him Flipper, even though the graphic will have his real name on there too. I'm like, if that's what he calls himself, that's what we're going to call him. That's at least what I'll call him. You can call him whatever you want, but you guys you can tussle. Just remember though, he has an outlaw that can chase down that Hornet.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You could chase down my Hornet on foot.
So let's go ahead and do this wheel of names for Drew Jack. So is it showing the ad? It's showing the ad. Shoot. Well, it's
no
okay.
free ads. There we go. It's
Yeah.
going now.
Well, because you never know when you go to websites like this, you never know what they're going to show either. So it's
You're
kind of
not
one of
wrong,
those
yeah.
like you just don't. I don't want to take a risk and be advertising something that we shouldn't be advertising, because that would be my damn luck. So, anyways, I don't know how many I'm supposed to do for Drew. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pick 3 names and Drew can figure it out, because he didn't give me the direction. So he said, Can you do this for me on the show? And I said yes. So we'll do 3. If it's 1, it's 1. If it's 2, it's 2. If it's 3, it's 3. We'll let Drew figure it out. Sound fair?
Sounds fair.
Is he in the chat? Not in the chat, so we're making up the rules as we go.
That's right.
Right,
made
so-
up and the points
yeah.
don't matter.
Yeah. So the first person to receive Chris, I want to make sure it's gonna stop my Chris. Oh, is it gonna? Oh,
Chris
okay.
O.L.
I'm like just a figure.
Just one. Just one. Andy
yeah.
said just one. So Chris O.L. is our winner.
Oh, okay. All right. Who said just one?
Andy. Drew. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call him Drew.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's been Andy
I'm
for
like,
me. He was Andy to me for too long. He's Andy forever.
I'm like, because I didn't see the post, I didn't see anything. I'm not really
Yeah.
been on Facebook today. I've had a lot of other fish to fry, and this has not been one of them. So, Chris Alwell in 95 front wheel drive. He's raced at Kalamazoo a couple times. Again, this is for Birch Run. So that is that's our winner there. So former spring. Oh my gosh, they're making up words now. Springport racer as well. That's where I got to know Chris a lot. Is over at Springport. So
yeah.
So I'm excited because he's got a different car than what he's had in the past, and he's been booking it. So I know he's had some tough luck, but yeah. So they're going over to Birch Run. So if you're not going to Birch Run on Friday, obviously Kalamazoo will have their championship night, and just so everyone remembers, Kalamazoo as a tradition, and I love it. I love the features only, especially on championship nights, because heat races won't determine the champion. The features will determine the champion. So there's a couple of times at New Paris on Saturday, I'm like, do they not remember that they're racing for a championship? Why are we crashing in the heat race? And that got frustrating, because I'm like, this is why I hate heat races on a championship program night or a big night. It's like heat races ruin it. And I get it. I hear Tim Craig in my head. Well, I'm here to race. I'm not here to just do a feature. Well, he had bad luck in the heat race, and his night almost could have ended there. So it's like, if it's going to end, it might as well end in the feature. But so Kalamazoo's doing features only. That's what they do. Every championship night is features only, unless something did change. Tina will correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what Donnie said is features only. And then obviously at the start of the year, we always do features only. So I like that they make it matter. I'm guessing if it's in the past that the features might even be extended a few laps. That's usually what they do. So it's like racing a heat race, but it's in the feature where the points matter. At Kalamazoo, we give just participation points for doing heat races, 10 points to everybody. It's like Oprah. You get 10 points and you get 10 points. First or last, you get 10 points. So the heat race doesn't really do anything at Kalamazoo anyways. They do that because they have a throwout night. So I know because of the throwout night, whether Matthew Elsie Jr. is at Birch Run or he's at Kalamazoo, he is the champion because he can't
he's got a throwout night.
Yeah, he has a throwout night. And so Matt Elsie, I believe, is second, and Scott Elsie's third. Tina did confirm features only. So that's where, as they were crashing each other in the heat races at New Paris, I'm on the roof. Stop. This is not where you crash. I mean, crashing's not good anywhere, but not in a heat race. Come on, you get like $5 for this. So, but everyone does things a little different. So that's what they did. But I'm like, stop crashing. You muted yourself, by the way. So 35 laps for the real world drive. So that's an extension for some of them. Late models usually go 35, but for limited lates, they'll go 35, and then street stocks 35, it looks like. And then 30 for the A feature, which that's 5 more laps than normal. B is 5 more laps than normal. They usually go 20, and then the C is usually 15 laps, so they're going 20. So see, it's like running a heat race, except you're doing it in the feature where the points matter. So anyways, speaking of points matter, Flipper's been waiting around a little bit, so we're now a little bit behind. So let's go ahead and bring on Flipper, and we can talk about his journey to the Kalamazoo Klash, and of course everything that he does with his YouTube program. So again, let's bring on Kyle/Flipper, who I will be referring to from here on out as Flipper, because that's how he calls himself. So I want to make it right. So so Flipper, again, welcome to the Monday Night Rewind. I know you said you're excited for this, and I'm like, it's an honor for me to have you on. Just like having, we had Chloe and Hailey to start. It's like I always appreciate everyone who comes onto our program, and his camera is also in that Beacon group with Chloe. So his is one of the few that made it all the way to the end. We get him parking in the pit as he's talked about. I think we had 1 gallon of fuel left. So.
No, you made it to my end.
Yeah,
we ran out 5 to go. So
5 to go. All right, yeah. Because did you? So you ran out of fuel for sure.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We got back and I threw a little bit of fuel down the throat there, and she fired right up. So thankfully that's all it was.
Nice.
But yeah, so close.
Well, and that's where, again, when you run a race like that, right, 125 laps, you never know what's going to happen, because I know, like, was it at Owasso this year that they had a late model race where, I think it was at the beginning of the year, where they ran more, or maybe it's last year, they ran more caution laps than they did actual feature laps, just because one thing after another. So with the Outlaws, you just never, I always tell people it's one or the other. It's either going to be like green, and it just goes forever and ever and ever. There's momentum, right? Or it's going to be like opposite end, where it's just kind of caution filled. And even though the Clash, I think the Clash had like 11 cautions total, it was really like 2 of them that really stretch it, because it was 2 cleanups that were like 7 minutes each time. And so that's 14 minutes of just, circling around. And, it's kind of one of those that it happens, right?
Oh yeah. And me, I'm in my 40s now. So 11 cautions, I was okay with, because I got to catch my breath a little bit.
Well, and so for those, so while we catch our breath, right? Because that's something that for you to even get to the Clash was a really big deal. You did a tire waffle, which is the official word that you can use on Facebook, is waffle. If you use a different word, Facebook gets really hairy. And, so we're not allowed to use those words. But yeah, so with the waffle, I know you did that. You had some people step up and give some extra prizes and all that. So why don't we start there of getting you to the Clash, and then we'll rewind it a little bit for those who may not know who Flipper is and why Flipper. Someone even said, where does the name Flipper come from? Like, there's even I know you can't see in the photo, but there's a plushie in the car with him, if you want to tell a little bit about that story too.
One right there, so
let's start with to get to the Clash, and then we'll rewind.
All right. So kind of, I guess, to start with getting to the Clash, what is the Clash to me? Well, my first time going to the Clash was with my son, Bryce. He was, about yay tall, and huge Kyle Busch fan, and Kyle Busch was racing. It was his first time running the Clash. So we went, and all these outlaw late models ripping around for, I think it was 100 laps back then. It's so cool. And that's one of those shows that you sit there in the stands and you never sit there and go, someday I'm going to be able to do that. Especially not as a young dad with a family and all that. Fast forward now, my son's graduated. He's starting his own life. I've got an opportunity to do something that I never thought I could. And at first I was looking forward to the Clash, but life happens and some stuff came up, and you kind of have to make that decision. I can't do it. I might be able to, but if something goes wrong, now I'm dipping into bill money and stuff like that. And don't do that, Well, someone had put up a reply saying, well, why don't you have a raffle or waffle? And I'll try anything once. And so I threw it up there. The craziest thing, people started buying spots. I never expected it. I kind of expected it to just fizzle out. I'm like, all right, well, we tried it and that was fun. So it snowballed. We started having some stuff donated for various spots. And I think we had like 55 waffle spots, and I sold most of them. I think 30 of some of them, at least enough to get me to the tires.
Yep.
I sold some race car parts, and it worked. We ended up going to the Clash. Again, this is a race where I sat in the grandstands, and I never would have thought 10 years down the road, I'm going to be on that track doing that with those guys. Let alone the fact that I got Terry Seneker on the track with me. I got Andy Bozell blowing my doors off. All of the names that I used to watch, and I get to watch them a lot closer now. It was so cool, man. I was so excited for it. We went there. We had one goal. We just wanted to make it to the feature. We wanted to make the feature. Very under budget team, very underpowered car. I'm out there having fun. No unrealistic expectations. I know what we have. And so my goal is to just make the feature. And at the driver's meeting, they go, well, there's 28 of you. And my stomach immediately goes, boom. Oh, this is going to be tough. We're starting all of you. Hey! Yeah. Just awesome. So yeah, of course I get on Facebook and like, we made the Clash. And then I went, oh, I better make sure I actually turn all of the laps and make it to the feature. But we did. You know, when you're a budget team, you have to be very patient and you have to save money where you can, which means a lot of used parts. Used parts also kind of come with a little bit of a gray area. So making the feature sometimes is a big feat. But I mean, not only did we make it, we ran 120 laps of the 125 lap feature before we ran out of fuel. It was crazy because about lap 80, I thought something was wrong with the car because I'm going around under caution, it's grinding. What in the world? No, it's my helmet's laying against the head. I couldn't hold my head up anymore.
Oh.
The G-forces were so much. I'm laying it against there. And I'm like, so, but then it became, I was on a mission. It was just, I'm finishing this thing.
Yeah.
And, such a cool experience. And on that note, I got to thank my wife because she puts up with it and encourages it, which encouraging this in me, bad combination, but she's okay with it. And I married her, obviously, you know, I got to thank my son. He came out, he was there at the Clash before me. He already had a spot honed out and everything. He was excited. Huge help. So thank you to Bryce. One of my sponsors, Union City Speed Shop, John and Betty Culp showed up. They were in my pits helping out. God, we had fun. Bottom line, we finished, I think officially 19th. And I think you'd have a hard time finding someone that finished better that had more fun than. It was such a cool experience. It was such a blast. So.
Well, and even talking with you after the race, right? Like, I mean, you're in great spirits and you, the way that I kind of described it to someone, I said, he is who he is, right? You're always energetic. You're always, and I mean that in a good way, right? Like you're like, anytime I've ever interacted with you, whether it's at Springport or wherever, you just always seem to be in a good mood, right? And I'm sure there are things that might make you mad or frustrated or angry. We all are human. We all have that, but I've not had a chance to. Well, besides that, besides the F-17 behind you, right? But right, just watching you walk through. I mean, you remind me a lot of like Joel. You know, where Joel always seems happy at the track. He always seems to be in a good mood, no matter what's going on. Even if he's kind of getting it taken on the chin a little bit, he still is like, okay, I'm just doing me, right? And even to have a camera with you and afterwards, like it's an honor for me to have one of your cameras. Like, no, like I get to ride with you, right? And that was really exciting for me, just because I was watching your journey. And if I wasn't in a spot where I am financially, I definitely would have been jumping in on that to help you, because it's like, man, those are the people who you cheer for and root for. Those are the people who you want to make the show, because they're out there. They know you were very upfront with everyone. Like, I know I'm not winning this race, like, but it didn't stop you from going. It didn't stop you from racing. It didn't stop you from wanting to be there. Where, there are sometimes drivers, and I'm not talking locally, just in broad general stroke, like the bigger show, they're not going to go because there's competition, right? And that didn't seem to bother you one bit. You're like, I don't care who I'm racing with. I get to race. No. I get to be there, and it's the Clash, and it's prestigious. And so again, it was just so fun watching it happen.
I didn't know the story. I mean, I just learned it while you were telling it here. And I mean, that to me, that is what racing is supposed to be. Like Lewis said, a lot of times people don't show up to these big shows because they know that it's a long shot that they're going to win. But when you were talking about just what the Clash means to you and what just being there meant and how great of a day it was just being part of the show, that's what racing is supposed to be. So thank you for sharing that. I don't even have a question for you. I just want to thank you for sharing that because that's an awesome story. And congratulations on being part of it, man. That's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, and it was kind of surreal because after the race, I was running around the back of the pack. I could have got a little racy with the guys in front of me. Toward the end, I could actually hold with them a bit, but I don't know where I'm at lap wise, and I'm laps down, man. Last thing you want to do is cause some sort of incident. Sorry, Adam. We hugged it out. It's okay. No, you don't want to cause an incident, stuff like that, especially if you're not even on the map as these guys. But yeah, so I hung around the back, and after the race, I had people coming up to me, man, telling me we were rooting for you and all this. Me? You're looking at the wrong end of the track there, but thank you. It was just kind of surreal. I thought that was just the coolest thing.
Well, again, it's that story, right? It's kind of like when you think about, you know, like let's say there's a baseball team that, you know, wins all these tournaments and everything, and they barely have a budget to do that, but they have a chance to go to like the Little League World Series or some kind of big thing, right? People rally around, right? Let's help make this happen. And again, it's for, you know, who you are as a person, the impression that you leave on a lot of people, the joy that you just seem to have, and what you do and how you do it. That sticks with people more than wins and features and big checks and big trophies. Like, it's who you are as a person, right? And so I think that's where, right? And that's not saying that those other people who have those things aren't, you know, authentic and everything else either, but your people want to rally for the person who's the underdog, right? Like you see it in college football, you see it in pro football, you see it in everywhere, right? Who's the underdog? That's who we kind of rally around, right? The support, get the troops around this guy or gal, and let's help them, you know, get there. So again, when I was talking with Steve Stacy and we were wondering how many were there, I said, well, if there's 28 or so here, I said, I would bet they start them all. I said, we're not going to send home 2 cars, basically. And I said, we started 25 a few years ago, which is the benchmark in my mind. So I'm like, 3 cars isn't going to make a difference. If they used to start 30, but I get it. Like, that's payout and all that. So, but when I saw there's 28, and I'm like, and I didn't go to the drivers meeting, but I just had a gut feeling. I'm like, yeah, they're going to start them all there. I would be shocked if they didn't. So, and you know, you started towards the end, but you still were out there and you're still doing the dang thing. So that's what matters, right? And that's why you have people behind you, is because of who you are.
Oh, I look at it this way. We spend way too much money on these things to not have fun. Like I've said multiple times, this has been a dream of mine. This is something I never thought I could do. I don't care if I'm first, last, I'm going to live it. And I'm going to have a blast doing it. And I want the people around me, you know, the guys that come down and help me in the pits and stuff like that. I want them to have fun too, because they're a part of it.
Right.
So yeah, it's, you gotta have fun. It's way too expensive not to. Otherwise, I don't know. Fishing?
What are we doing?
Right. So speaking of fishing, you have a manatee that rides along with you, but you also go by the name Flipper. So this is the spot where, like, if you haven't heard our show before, we shoot first, aim second. Like, we don't have scripts or anything that we follow. We kind of go wherever the conversation goes. So since you just said fishing, I thought Flipper, fish, manatee, all these things come together. So why don't we do that rewind part now, where we go back to, you know, how did you get the name Flipper? You know, how long have you been racing and that kind of deal? And why you're probably not fishing and you're racing an outlaw late model. So, so kind of let's go that rewind part, since you did just bring up fishing. I'm like, that's a perfect segue.
That was beautifully done.
How about?
No, the nickname Flipper, when I first started racing back in 2000, I was racing a little 4-cylinder truck over on the east side of the state. I was about 100 pounds skinnier. I was just all arms, legs, and big feet. I had a size 14 wide shoe, and I weighed about 120 pounds soaking wet. I'm walking through the house barefoot one day, and my brother, who's home on leave, goes, "Jesus, where'd you get those whale flippers?" Next thing I know, it's painted on the side of my race truck. It's painted on my helmet. Truth be told, I hated the nickname at first. Obviously, it's grown on me a little since then, but by the end of the season, there are guys I've been racing with all year long that they didn't know what my real name was. The champion that year came up to me, "Hey man, what's your real name anyways?" It's kind of been one of them things that stuck. And obviously now I've grown to like it a little bit. So, and then the manatee that you brought up, totally separate from the flipper thing. My mom is, or I should say was, a cancer survivor. She had cancer 4 or 5 times. She moved down to Florida because she loves fishing. That was her thing. She loved fishing. So she moved down to Florida to fish. And she loved the manatees while she was down there. And so much so that she actually took me and, at the time, my girlfriend, I proposed to her on that specific trip, but at the time, my girlfriend, on a swimming with the manatee excursion. It was just so cool, right? So fast forward, and Ma comes down with cancer again, and they think it's actually from the radiation from one of the first go-arounds with cancer. Long story short, she passed. She passed shortly before Thanksgiving last year, which is one of the things that kind of delayed this. But manatees and stuff with us was kind of a thing. So at her celebration of life, my wonderful wife had brought this little stuffed manatee and had it around everything. So in a way, Mom's with me in that manatee and zip tied it to the inside of my car. So yeah, that's my way of having my mom ride around with me a little bit, if you will. So, hey,
and
kind of got me on a serious note there.
I know. I'm sorry. Well, even
Oof.
the tone change. He went from excited to, okay, now we're a little somber. So we'll bring it back up. But I mean, just think of how proud, we know she is that you got to race in the Clash, and she got to race with you at the Clash and be with you that entire time. And again, that's just something that the story behind, right, just brings everyone, it brings it all together. Because in short track racing, think about, I mean, yeah, it happens in NASCAR and all these things, but you don't hear about it, right? They celebrate it in like October because that's what the month says. It says, oh, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, just like February is Black History Month. So check mark for the marketing team. Okay, we did something Black History Month because it's February, right? Where in short track racing, there are no check marks, there's no itinerary, there's no calendar, there's no marketing ploy. It's, we're people who live everyday jobs, who, do our best to get to the track with what we have. And right, we're budget racing teams, we're budget whatever. Obviously, there are some teams that have a little bit more backing than others, but even too, they're on a budget at some point. Money is money, right?
It does run out eventually.
It does at some point. You can only crash so many times before you got to buy, right? And but it's one of those things, right? Like, again, that's where your story and it all comes together, right? That, and why you have so many people who are behind you, whether it was at Super Shoe a few years ago when you raced at Super Shoe. And I think that's when you debuted that late model, right? Is that Super Shoe or a late model?
That was another car.
Yeah, I was going to say different. That's where I corrected. I'm like, a late model. It wasn't that one, but but you got to be part of that. Yeah, well, and then obviously it didn't go the way that you had hoped. There's a lot that went wrong for a lot of people at the start of that race, but that
weekend. Sorry.
No.
That weekend, I figured it out. It cost me almost $1,000 a lap.
Oh wow,
that was a very expensive Super Shoe.
Ouch.
That's yeah, that's not good.
No.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about your scheme then too? Because you ran a similar scheme a few years ago too, right? So, if you want to talk a little bit about, so do we could get back on the high note here, you know, a little bit about your scheme because the patriotic and that kind of deal, where that comes from, and some of the work that you do, especially with Flipper's Garage.
Yeah. So I had the blue on the sides and the white on the top and stuff like that. And the more I looked at it, you know, I grew up watching, I don't know if some of you might recognize the name, a gentleman by the name of Dave Stayhauer. He had another very patriotic looking late model I thought was kind of cool. So as I started to put this car together, that's what kind of kept rolling through my head. And on top of that, one of my friends that helped sponsor the car, he has a nonprofit called a Veteran Helping Veteran. And it tied into it so well. And my brother's a Air Force vet. You know, I've got a bunch of friends who are veterans. So it was a no-brainer for me. And the more, you know, I've done vinyl for years and stuff. And as a vinyl guy, I always know when the design is good because I start getting excited about it when I'm putting it together and putting it on the car. And that's the way this thing was. The more I put the vinyl on, I'm like, oh, this is so cool, you know? And I'm sorry, it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn. I don't mean it. But yeah, it just, I love the way it laid together, and the fan response to it has been incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I've had every race I've been to, I've had people after the races come up to me, man, I love the paint scheme. I love the way the car looks. That's so cool. Thank you. Yeah. You know, like I said, my one sponsor, Veteran Helping Veteran, I guess I'll kind of segue on this. He's putting together a big program with the Berlin Raceway, September 11th and 12th. They've got it's celebrating the 25th anniversary of September 11th, which me being a former firefighter, the September 11th always hits a little close to home. That was obviously the World Tower and the Pentagon, you know, the attacks. And when that happened, 343 first responders lost their lives. I know I'm getting back on a somber note here, but
we'll bring it back up.
Yeah, it's coming around. Just stay with. Anyways, 343 first responders lost their lives. When you become a firefighter or a first responder, all of a sudden that stuff really starts to hit home to you. And Veteran Helping Veteran is putting together a big show at Berlin for the September 11th and 12th race, which is great because we're going to be racing there with this on the 12th. He's got the Nozzlemen from Chapter 7. It's a motorcycle club. They're going to have a special 343 formation on the front stretch. There's the Hooligan Flyover. They're going to have a Humvee parade lap. It's Laps of Honor at Berlin. That's September 12th and the September 11th. So nice little segue and plug on that one. I'm excited about it, obviously. Berlin is such a cool track, and to get to run one of these cars on it, I mean, especially this one with the small motor, we're at a huge disadvantage, but I don't care. It's important to my sponsor. It's important to my friend, and I'm going to go out there and we're going to go and run as long as we can, and we're going to have fun with it. And what's cool about Berlin, and I wish more tracks promoted this after the races. It's a part of their culture. They mob the pits.
Yeah.
That grandstand's empty and everybody comes down to the pits, and the drivers have left their cars out of the trailers. Nobody's loading up because the crowd's coming up, getting autographs or getting pictures and stuff. I had kids in and out of the car. It's so cool. So if you do make it out to Berlin, make sure to stop by after the races. I'd love to see you, love to hear from you. Check the car out. Yeah, it's going to be a fun time.
Well, and that's where, that's what I like about Kalamazoo. Right after the races, everyone comes down to the pit area. There's only a few tracks that don't allow fans in the pit area after the races and insurance things, whatever. But I'm like, I don't know, all these other tracks allow it, so it doesn't make sense to me. And they have the same insurance carrier. But, everyone has different rules, and I understand that. But because there's only two insurance companies in the whole United States that does racetracks. So you have one or the other. So, but anyways, that's where I know a lot of people around your pit area too. And it's hard to believe 25 years already for September 11th. I'm like, now that you say that, I'm like, kind of feel old.
Yeah.
I was in 8th grade when that happened, and not to make other people maybe feel old who are listening, but it's like I remember that day.
I was in 2nd grade to make you feel old.
Oh.
Watch this. Buju's gonna disappear. No, I'm kidding. But like I can replay that day. It was Hat Day, and the football team played Marshall that Friday, and it like I can play all these things in my head, right? That I was standing in this classroom when the tower fell. I was standing here I was sitting here when it was for like 25 years though, and what's funny but not funny, because it's not obviously a funny day, but there's so many people now who are alive who don't even know September 11th, right? Just like there are people who don't Pearl Harbor. We have some who are just hanging on, right? But
our first guest was 15 years old tonight.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think.
Yeah.
We got late model contenders that weren't or 10 years shy of. Yeah, that's crazy.
So while they may hear about it and they may wonder, because you can watch video, you can watch all that kind of deal and kind of see the day play out, but it still isn't the same, right? And so I think that's the thing that for Berlin to do, something especially for first responders and that sort of deal, to have that, and for you to be working, with the veteran group who obviously they fought a long war after all that. I mean, that all comes into play, because I sometimes think like for those of us who lived it and experienced it, right, it's still there, but how many of the lessons from that day that we've all forgotten as we've moved on with our lives, right? Like everything, we just move on with our lives. And, but it's one of those that, where I was also going to go with that when you're saying sorry for the plug is that on Mondays, we always have a time in the show where we call it Mankind Monday, because Mick Foley always did cheap plugs, right? Cheap pops, where how we doing Chicago, right? Like get the cheap plug. Because when you're a face, you got to get that, right? So cheap plugs are definitely in play, especially on a Monday. We call it our Mankind moment of the Monday.
Well, as a former wrestling fan, I'm kind of glad I filled that little category.
Yeah. Because last Monday we didn't get a cheap plug in at all, and I remembered. I think I remembered on Thursday when I was doing the Clash tickets, where I'm like, hey, I didn't get a cheap plug on Monday, so I'm going to do all my cheap plugs tonight on Thursday. But so yeah, fair game. All cheap plugs matter, and because that's a Mick Foley throwback. So again,
and for the younger generation, Mick Foley was an old wrestler.
He's still around though. He's still well, he doesn't wrestle, but he's still
what?
Yeah. Well, he's with AEW now. He went to the other side. Yeah, he went to the other side of things. And so
Good for Dude Love.
Yeah.
At this point, he's with AARP.
Yeah. He might even be sponsored by them. I don't know. But yeah, so with that, when you think about your racing career, right? Obviously you're doing late models right now, but there was someone who commented, hey, didn't you used to race this? So I know you and Matt Kemp have like a background. And so if you want to talk a little bit about the different things that you have raced in your career.
Man, it sounds like boasting, but I've been incredibly fortunate. I started out racing little 4-cylinder pickup trucks. That was the class. S10s, Rangers, there's a little Toyota. From there, I've raced just about everything up to a late model. The only thing short track wise I haven't been behind the wheel of now is a modified and a sprint car. They're both on my bucket list. Again, I'm just extremely fortunate. I used to race with the short track truck series. Used to travel around Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. Got to race some really cool tracks doing that. You guys were talking to Chloe about Winchester earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I got to race there, and such a cool experience. Funny thing about that is the old short track truck motor is what's in this.
No kidding.
This was built in 2006. It sat since 2008. All I did was prime it and throw some valve springs in it, and away we went. So I was crossing my fingers for 120 laps.
Well, so while we even talk about that, right? we have a question in here. What's next on your bucket list? Since you did the Clash and your fingers obviously crossed long enough that you got almost all the way through that race, what's next for you?
You know, right now I got to soak this up. I don't know how long I can do this, so I'm going to live it up as much as I can. Sprint cars and modifieds, like I said, are on my bucket list. Dirt late models. I mean, cool.
Oh, yeah.
You know, one of the ones that I have tried, and it's been so close. I want to race against my son. We've been on the track at the same time, but the first time was Owasso with the mini cups, and it rained.
Oh no.
They were this close, right? Went out to he ended up driving a friend's car at the Little Owasso, the dirt track, and I ended up pulling off with a couple laps in because the car just wasn't right. So we've been close, but that's one of the ones I really would like to do. Is I'd love to race against my son. To me, that's just, you know, that huge proud dad moment, and I can't wait to spin him out.
At least you're honest.
Joking, but, you know, having said that, inevitably it'll happen because of Murphy. But it just, I don't know. I'm living it up right now with this. Yeah, I'd love the opportunity to race one of these other classes. Realistically, probably not going to happen. It's just not within my budget. But man, one of the things that I actually got to check off without really even realizing it this year, I always wanted to have one of my designs, because I've done vinyl since like 2006. I always wanted to have designs televised. To me, that'd just be so cool to see it on, well, between Flow and Racing America and all these programs. This thing's been on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even, I mean, very quick, you know, leader goes by and there I am. But it's been on TV, so I got to check that off. It counts, you know?
It counts. It does.
It is. It's like, up there I am. Okay. So that was one of the items. You know, some of the more far-fetched stuff, driving a monster truck. I mean, again, this is up there, but I mean, how cool would that be? I not a competition, anything like that, but just to get behind the wheel and drive over something. Yeah, that'd be, on a similar note, being an announcer, I'd love to call a monster truck show.
Oh.
You know, when I used to announce, like at Springport and stuff, I used to have theme songs and theme music for the cars to pull out on, and you get the crowd going, which was great because you could just start a certain song and the crowd starts cheering your intro line. You're like, yeah, that's my line, but cool. You know, it's so cool. You get to do that with monster trucks in a big way. I mean, Bad to the Bone place, everybody knows who that is. You know, Thunderstruck is Blue Thunder. That might be a little outdated now, but calling a monster truck show would just be so cool. So that's definitely one of the things that's on my bucket list. Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've been able to cross a lot of really cool things off. You know, racing Super Shoot was one of those things. Back in the day, I was so close. We had the old short track truck ready. We were going to race, but then financials fell through because I went to college. So every time we tried to race Super Shoot, something would fall through. And then the one year, you guys were talking about Andy Jack. I'm sorry, we're going to go down story time here, but
I love it. I love Drew Jack's stories, though.
I got a message from Andy Jack, and it's Friday of Super Shoot. It's like, hey, I got a car. You want to drive it? Yeah. And so I show up at the track, and it's not running. It's like, oh, it's got a fuel pump switch. No, the fuel pump was dead. So I'm like, oh, you know what? Way up here. Now, well, my buddy John Culp, Union City Speed Shop, he's there. He's got his late model and a front wheel drive 4-cylinder. And he comes up to me. He's like, I'm having too hard a time jumping back and forth between the two. You want to drive the 4-cylinder? Yeah, it's Super Shoot. Drive anything right now. So I jump in it, and the first practice session. I got together with another car, ended up tangled up into the wall. I'm like, oh, come on. So we get back into the pits, get the car fixed. Cool, we're back at it. Long story short, ended up winning the heat race, ended up winning the feature. And it was a party afterwards. We had a blast. Super Shoe hasn't been quite so kind to me since then.
Used up all your luck.
Yeah, I did. I used it all up. And you know what's funny about that, though, is having raced all these different tracks and having run all these different races, and now Kalamazoo Klash, that first win at Super Shoe still ranks as one of my top 3 biggest wins in a little 4-cylinder car.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the class, man. Have fun with it and make it your own. The most fun I have racing is in these silly little mini cup cars. Dollar for dollar, most fun I've ever had racing. And you know what the best part about it is? You wipe the right front off the car, you're out $200. I'm out $200 in fuel in this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, sorry, I kind of veered off there.
Oh, no.
You're good.
Hey,
Fantastic.
remember, shoot first, aim second. We go where we go. You know, we don't. That's why. I mean, quite frankly, that's why we get a lot of compliments about the Monday Night Rewind, is because it's a lot of people have said it's like sitting in a pit area, you know, around a trailer or after the races or whatever, popping up in a cold one and just talking, right? So,
Story.
so that's where, you know, it's like we go where we go. That's part of the journey of each Monday night here. So, that's what I could ask you a question. You could go off on a big tangent. I'd go, "Are you a politician?" Because you did that really well, right? But no, because this all matters, right? And how and why these moments stand out again. Why people like you? Why people support you? Why people are behind you? Because of just what you represent, right? So, I think even someone in here, it was Betty, I believe. And she's down at New Paris, and Betty will tell you what she thinks. By the way, she's you know,
yes, she will.
she does not hold back whatsoever, and that's what I love about her. She's so sweet, but she'll definitely say it how it is.
Yep.
And she's like, "Wow, love this Flipper's excitement. That's what our sport needs." So when you have someone like a Betty Berkeley giving you an endorsement, if you ever get a chance to come down to New Paris and meet her, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Like, she's so sweet, but I've also seen her get angry too. And I'm like, I'm staying on the roof because she's unhappy right now. And I'm not going to go experience that. But, you know, for her to say something like that, that definitely stands out. So,
I take that as quite the compliment. Thank you, Betty.
Yeah. From Betty for sure. And then, okay. So Buju, I regretted my camera angle. Because Flipper has a mount on the side of his car. Here's the question. So what's up with the lights in the late model during pace laps? Actually, it's all race, by the way, too. I don't think you turned them off during the race. I think they were on the whole time.
No, I have to shut them off. I can't see. Glares too much.
So maybe because I'm like, I felt like they were on at some point in the race, but maybe not. Maybe I was seeing things, but it's like that blue is out there. So.
You know, I joke around. If you can't run up front, you got to get fans somehow. You got to be creative. So I put lights on the car. Really, what it is you turn the lights on. Every single kid in that grandstand's going, "Oh!"
Yep.
And that's just so cool. You know, you get the kids fired up about it, and I'm a big kid myself. I'm one of the guys in the grandstand going, you know, give them something to cheer for. Give them something to get fired up about. The kids are going to love it. They're going to want to come back. So that's really what it is. It's just something kind of fun, and I knew kids would love it. So
yeah, it stood out to me when I noticed, because I like, maybe it was pace slash. I don't know. All I know is I'm like, hey, it's lit up. Not only is your car easy to find because it's blue and white and red and not black like most cars are, which I know is just easier for a lot of people with the black, but it stands out. It has different colors. Obviously, there's a very patriotic theme, so that stands out too. But then the blue lights with it, I'm like, man, that is awesome. So, because I even think I came up to you, I'm like, I didn't know you had lights. I must have missed something somewhere, because I I'm like, that was just really cool. Instantly after, I'm like, I should have put my mount on the outside of the car because we could have got all those lights. So I remember that for sure. I said after the race, like, man, I missed an opportunity there to blue light special. That's what we talked about, you know. But he was also working on his car because they were fixing something. So I tried to not be in the way too long. But
you're not in the way, and like I said before, it's an honor having you. You're riding along with us. I think that's so cool what you do. The exposure you bring to the local racers is, I don't think you give yourself enough credit. So thank you for that. As one of those local racers, and I said it at Clash, you know, I feel honored to have one of your cameras in my car. I appreciate what you do. I think it's so cool. I love watching the videos. So my little props to you there. As far as on the outside of the car there, I mean, super shoe.
Yeah. Well, that's because I'll start taking signups here in a couple of weeks. Because I mean, if you think about it, we're almost a month away from Super Shoe now. I think it's a month, you know, a month from now. So it's like, I mean, we crown champions on Friday, and then we have 2 weeks off, and it's a night of destruction, and then, or 1 week off, 2 weeks off. I think it's 2 weeks off. And then we have another week or so off, and it's Super Shoe. And it's crazy how it's already coming all the way, you know, all the way.
Where did this go?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Even sitting at New Paris, which hasn't had a lot of rainouts. I think they've had like 2 rainouts, maybe their whole season, one or two. Like, they've not been rained out a lot. They've actually beaten the rain a couple times. And it's like, man, it's already season championship, and it just feels like we were just doing trifecta race 1 in May, and we were just doing the first night of destruction, and it's just crazy, right? Yeah. That's why it's like, I keep telling people, get out to the racetrack. Like, it's so easy to be like, well, I could probably go next week. Just go now, because if I've done this before. I mean, I was out of racing for 10 years. We had stopped going when my mom was going through her second round of breast cancer. We had stopped because finances just didn't allow us to go to the races anymore. It barely allowed me to go to college and all these other things. And so we're just out of racing for my light keeps turning off. We're out of clap on, clap off. See, we are out of, like, I was out of racing until I went to South Bend in 2017 for the first time in a long time. That's the first time I was at a racetrack. And then just from there. And so I tell people, like, oh, I'll go next week. I'll go next week. Just go now, because next week's not guaranteed, right? Like, we gotta get out to these tracks. We gotta support them, especially now, because pretty much their ability to earn money, you know, from the season, because I promise you, most tracks are not profitable. They're barely scratching by, right? And a lot of times people think they're profitable. It's like that $6 hot dog probably still costs them this much to make and replenish and all that. Like, they're not making all this money that you think they are. And sponsor money doesn't cover the purse anymore. You're like, it barely covers the purse. In some places, it doesn't even cover the first place. So, you know, it's like, just like, let's get out and support, because we're winding down. I mean, New Paris has 4 events now, I think, left. Kalamazoo has season championship, night of destruction, and Super Shoe. So they're down to 3 because there's no Bad Santa this year. That Enduro's being moved somewhere else at some point in time. And so it's like, you only have a couple times to get out to Kalamazoo. You only have a couple times to get up to M40. So it's like, it's winding down here. We need to see clap on, clap off, and shut off again. But yeah, whatever. It's fine. It just looks like a low budget show for a moment. But it's like, I could go upstairs and be in light, but I'm like, it's too nice to be out, you know, upstairs. So I mean, we're closer to snow than we are rain showers bring May flowers, just so everybody knows. But
there's a sobering thought.
Yeah, well, we've kind of had ups and downs, right? But other than that, I know you said Super Shoe. You talked about your Berlin race on September 11th and 12th. So where else could people see you? Because you're not doing Reveal, so you're not racing with Reveal. So what else? Where else can they see the F17 this year?
For the late model, those are really the only 2 shows I got left.
Okay.
We've kicked around the idea at New Paris, but you have to have a certain amount of horsepower to pull yourself up off the corner there. Even with the truck series, it was noticeable. These things hook up way better than anything I've ever driven. I feel like, especially as tight a track as it is, I'd just be in the way. and I don't want to tear up equipment, mine or somebody else's, just because.
Yeah.
Again, I know what I've got, and I'm fine with it. To give you an idea, I mentioned the engine in this is from the old short truck.
Yeah.
It's a 305. It has stock Vortec heads. It's got a hydraulic cam. It's got a decent intake and a good carburetor. It's about 320 to 330 horse. There's not much pulling on that thing. So, at Berlin, I went out there and I'd raced there with the truck series, and I kind of thought, well, it's not a motor track. It's a big momentum track.
Yeah.
And with the trucks, it was like that. You kind of had to play the throttle and all that. Well, first time out with this, and it just hooked immediately. And I went, oh, I am so in trouble. And yeah, there two cars every straightaway. Shoo, shoo. Cool. It was kind of cool. I mean, you're watching. Talk about the catbird seat, watching these guys fighting for the lead. And you're like, oh yeah. But it was cool. But again, I know what I have. I don't want to cause a wreck. I feel like at especially a tight track like New Paris, man, I'm just going to be in the way. So we're not going to go there. We're going to run Berlin. Yeah, I know they're going to blow by me, but again, my sponsor, he's got a big show going together.
Right.
I'm going to go up there to support him.
Yeah.
We're going to have some fun with it. Again, the crowd there is amazing. Super Shoe. Super Shoe. How can you not? Well, I know how you cannot, because I've already lost one car there. But anywho, apparently I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm going to run the little mini cup car. We've got a race this weekend at Owasso Kart Speedway, Motorsports Park.
Yeah.
Little 5th mile dirt track. Again, dollar for dollar, most fun I've ever had in a race car. And then that's kind of going to round it out for my season.
Okay.
When you're budget racing, you kind of pick and choose your shows, and on top of that, just as busy as life is, only running a handful of shows isn't bad. I can still go out and do things with my wife. I can still go out and do things with my kid. And, when I was younger, I was such a diehard racer. I was racing, 2, 3, 4 times a week if I could. And there were a few weeks where I did race 4 times a week. You get older, your perspective starts to change a little bit, and all of a sudden, I could go racing, but kind of really want to go camping with my wife.
Right.
That's not bad. So you younger kids will get there someday.
Well, that's for a few weeks ago. Since I became top row, I hadn't missed a race unless it rained out. But Mom had tickets to that chili peppers or chili baseball, the Cosmic Chili team. I think it's chili peppers, whatever they are. But they played at Grand Rapids at the Fifth Third. No, it's not Fifth Third Park anymore. It's LMCU ballpark or whatever. Yeah. But she had tickets for that for a long time, and then they were going to cancel because she's like, well, Kenny Wallace is at Kalamazoo, so you should be there. And I went, I'm not going to Kalamazoo. This is something she'd look forward to. I was at Kalamazoo on her birthday. I was at M40 on Father's Day. I was at M40 on Mother's Day. Like I've been at, or maybe Corrigan was one of those dates and M40 was the other, but I'm like, I've been at racetrack on all these days for many years. And it's like, nope, you have tickets for this. You've been excited for this for a really long time, right? So why would I cancel? I've always been a big believer in family first. And it's like, it's time for me to live that for a moment. It's okay that I'm not at a racetrack on one of these nights. There are other people to cover it, and I don't need to be there, right? And so that was kind of refreshing, to have family time on a race night. It's like, yeah, my skin was kind of ticking, like I should be doing this right now, or I should be doing that right now, because I know racing was happening, right? And you're in a routine, but it's like, but I was so excited to be at the game. I was so excited to be there and experience that. And I think sometimes, right, that it's nice to step away from the racetrack. And I haven't done that a lot until then, and it was nice. Like I enjoyed it. Like so. I think sometimes we need to ground ourselves again, because points racing gets stressful. That's why I like Night of Destructions a lot, because they're there to crash stuff. They don't, they'll go get a new car and no big deal. And but it's laid back where on points night, right? Everything's just kind of stressful and uppity, and it's just different, right? And so because there's money on the line, there's lots of things on the line. So so sometimes it's like, okay, you can kind of feel the tension on some nights. So like I know there's gonna be a lot of stress this Friday for a lot of people. So like I already know, like, okay, I just need to have my Pepsi ready to go and get on the roof and be ready. And but other than that, because I already know like some groups and some teams are just going to be stressed because it's the last night and points are on the line, and there's a lot there's still 3 classes I think that are not decided yet. So there's a lot of pressure, right? So it's like, okay, just keep myself grounded. So I get like the camping and doing those moments and having that, because there are people who you talk to now who are like, man, I wish I would have went camping a few years ago. I wish I would have done this. And I think if you get to that wish part, it's like, you don't want to do that later, where your wife is like, man, even though she supports you doing this, right? Like, man, we really could have went and done this trip, and and now we don't get that opportunity, whatever it may be. So definitely can't turn those kind of things down.
And don't get me wrong, some of my best memories are at the racetrack. Some of my best friends are made at the racetrack. It's just, as you get older, your perspective changes, and there are people who their whole families, the racetrack is where it's at, and that's awesome. And it's great. More power to you. Not saying that's a bad thing by any means. You got to kind of find your own. And as I got older, every now and then going camping, going fishing, it ain't all bad. It don't always have to be at the racetrack. So the Reveal the Hammer series, they've got, what was it, 5 shows this year? I think they had 8 last year. That's about perfect for where I'm at in my life. So yeah, it's man, this year went by fast. So
yeah. Well, I know your wife has been in the chat area a lot too. So I know we're definitely, we've had you almost an hour, so we're keeping you away from her for a little bit. So I know you have things to get ready and do and enjoy that family time, every night. And so that's where, again, I just appreciate you, being able to come on tonight and tell your story. For Buju, although before I forget, Buju, did you have any questions or anything? Because I know you're learning a lot, right? So
yeah.
But I don't want to. I almost cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off, but sorry, that's my mistake.
No, you're all good. We're getting past my bedtime here. I'm about to turn into a pumpkin anyway. But
okay,
I'll ask a couple of my standards. Favorite racetrack, Kyle?
Probably I would say 2. Non-operational now, the old half mile at Tri-City Motor Speedway.
Okay.
If you ever get a chance, look up old YouTube videos. It was a left-handed road course. Legit 5 turns, elevation changes. You're going up and down, banking, no banking. It was insane. Such a cool track. Favorite track current, Winchester. Winchester was wild.
Yeah.
Absolute blast there. I'd love to get back there someday. So
would you run there?
I ran the short track truck there.
Okay.
Gotcha. Almost get around there without lifting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, you got
screaming around.
you're yeah. It's that track is so cool because you go into the corner and everywhere else you're looking here off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
At Winchester, you're looking up here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's no sideways G-forces. It's just right down in the seat.
Yeah.
I've not been to Winchester yet, but each year I have someone who's like, just come on down. And obviously, and I've had a chance to connect with Dan Redmond because of the Boars Compact series. And so him and I talked earlier this year at the 500 Tour Media Day, where he said, yeah, someone like you can't just show up. You're a little too big now. And he said, but we'll see what we can do. So so that's where I don't think it's going to work in my schedule based on how everything's panning out right now with some other Bahama brackets and other things going on. At some point, money does come into play, and I got to be able to afford to go to some of these places. And Bahama is in Grundy, Illinois. That's or not Grundy, Morris,
Mhm.
but Grundy County. That's going to require hotel stay and all that. So obviously that's going to cost them money. So I need to figure out a way to afford some things now at this point to do some of these postseason shows. But that's where, you know, Winchester's definitely a bucket list to get down there. So because I mean it looks fun. So
It won't disappoint.
but like I said, I know we've kept you way long. Your wife is probably like 40 minutes. It's almost an hour, bub. So and you've been on actually a little longer than that. We were a few minutes behind with pulling Drew's number things or name things. So again, congratulations to Chris Elwell for getting that and heading off to Birch Run in the 95 front wheel drive. But other than that, Kyle, excuse me, Flipper. I said I wasn't going to call him Kyle the rest of the night after that first introduction, but Flipper.
Yeah, I've been called much worse, so either one works.
So again, you know, definitely thank you for joining. You get to be a part of the closing here a little bit, so I'm going to keep you on screen. I do want to remind everyone that you can throttle up with us this Thursday night on the Thursday Night Throttle, where we preview the upcoming weekend. Just know that Buju and I, we're going to do 2 weekly shows left of the Throttle, and then we're going to start phasing it out, where after that, we're going to go down to every other week, just to open up some Thursdays for us, especially as the season gets lighter. And so the Monday Night Rewind will change some format, not much, because we have a good formula going with what we do here by shooting first, aim second. But there will be some things that we'll pull from Thursdays, housekeeping items, you can call them, parking lot items, that will include on Mondays going forward, probably at the last part of the show. And then starting in November, we're going to go down to once a month. So October is going to be like that transition month, September and October transition. And then we're, because you got Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all these holidays that Thursdays just seem to run into that. Also, a quick little note for the Monday Night Rewind on Labor Day weekend. That Monday, we will not be doing a show just because that is such a huge travel day for a lot of people that we're going to have that Monday off. But that week, we're going to do a Wednesday show, which will take place of the Thursday Night Throttle and Monday Night Rewind. So we're going to do a Wednesday show that week. Similar format to Monday Night Rewind. In fact, it'll probably be called the Monday Night Rewind on a Wednesday. We'll just adjust to that accordingly. But I'm not changing the logo. It's going to be the Monday Night Rewind just a few days later. And one note that I do want to add too is that I want champions to reach out because I want to do champions shows where we interview champions, 10, 15-minute slots, not full interviews like what we do normally do on a Monday, but like quick little, come on, talk about your championship, thank who you want to thank, and just kind of get out there. So I know a few more championships are still being decided. So I'll be putting something on Facebook for that notice. And that's open to any track: Plymouth, South Bend, Angola, Kalamazoo, M40, Hartford, Owasso, Corrigan, Arthur Raceway Park, wherever you are. If you want to come on, again, we'll have 10 to 15 minutes. You could be in Iowa for all I care. Because it's your chance and your opportunity to come on and talk about your championship, because to win a championship is an accolade in itself. And so let's celebrate that. So wherever you are, it's open to any track, any series, MCR Dwarfs, doesn't matter. So again, we've been talking with almost did it again. Flipper. I'm struck out. We've been talking with Flipper. Again, follow on Flipper's Garage, where you can see his YouTube channel. Also on Facebook, he has clips and reels and everything on there that he does in his daily life. Of course, again, you'll get to see him at a few more tracks in the year, so certainly follow Flipper's Garage on Facebook to see where he's heading next. Other than that, it's our favorite time of the night that now I have Dalton Irish in my head every time it gets to this point where I have to do it almost exact. So I'm going to pause so I don't mess it up like I did last week. All right, Buju, it's almost time to turn left and go fast because
we'll see you at the races.
Flipper, last word.
I thank you for having me on. Again, I appreciate what both of you guys are doing. Getting the local guys in a little bit of limelight. It's so cool. It's truly been an honor to be on the program with you guys. Thank you.
Again, thank you, and we'll see you all at the races.
See you at the races.